Mega Man X. Love this game. I remember playing it for the first time when I was a kid. It was like playing Super Mario World for the first time or Super Metroid. The Super Nintendo felt like such a big upgrade from the regular Nintendo. These weren't just sequels, they were an upgrade. You knew you were getting something special when playing these games for the first time.
You definitely love these old games. You seem to cycle through them every now and then.
I know this game so well now, it's hard to recapture that sense of awe, discovery, and challenge from the first time I played it.
Well, why don't you just reinvent the game?
Oh, negativo, don't talk nonsense. Reinvent the game. Hello everybody, welcome to Creative Gaming, the show where we input a little RNG into our playthroughs, either for challenge purposes or just a new way to play the game. Alright, you ready for another challenge, Negativio? Negativio? Oh, I guess he's out. Today we're going back to Mega Man. Mega Man 2, one of the most nostalgic games for me. I actually played the first Mega Man before the second one even existed. But I think everybody would agree that this second game is what put Mega Man on the map. It's what made him compete with other platformers like Super Mario or Castlevania or Contra. So the rules are similar to my Mega Man X challenge. Just roll an 8-sided die and that decides the level. So 1 is Bubble Man, 2 is Air Man, so on and so forth. You get the idea. You can't return to a level once you beat it, so I'll probably edit out the rolls to the levels I've already beaten. A game over does not allow me to pick another level. I will, however, allow myself one cheat or reroll. If I'm stuck at a level and I want to try another one, I can reroll one time for an alternate level. Those of you familiar with this game, you probably know which specific circumstance I'd want to use this cheat, but we'll see what happens. How can you not love this opening? We were discovering that even 8-bit MIDI soundtracks could be epic. Normal or difficult? Let's do difficult. Alright, so we could be tackling these stages in completely random order. Let's roll for our first level. We roll a 3, that's Quickman's level. Woo, that's a tough one to start with. The infamous instant death lasers, and Quickman himself is pretty tough. Alright, that is what I rolled, so let's go. We got this. The stage starts you off mercifully, a couple of screens of lasers just to let you know what you're up against. Now this darkness thing. I probably haven't played this game in 3 or 4 years. I have played Mega Man Maker though. Some people design tough levels on there, so surely I can beat this early Mega Man game. Alright, so here we are at the lasers. Deep breath, no time stopper, no advantages whatsoever. I've been playing this game for 30 years, so I practically have this pattern memorized. Alright, we got through that. Quickman has one last nasty surprise though. These large machine things. They take quite a few hits, especially on the difficult setting. Let's see if I can get past them. Oh crap. We'll have to go through the lasers again. Here we go. Ah damn it. The timing for these lasers is pretty precise. If you're off step a little bit, you won't make it. Here we try again. I hate the placement of this enemy. This uneven terrain makes it more difficult. You can't go back too much either because you could respawn the first enemy, and you could respawn the second enemy as well. I guess Quickman wasn't satisfied with the dozens of death lasers. He had to put these machines here as well. Alright, here we are at Quickman. He zips all over the screen and has seemingly infinite jumping range. Shit, I meant to use my energy tank right there. Well, God, I got my ass handed to me. Maybe I could restart this game and roll the die again. The viewers would never know.
Dylan!
Ah, where did you come from?
Bathroom break?
Oh, well, I was just getting warmed up. This playthrough doesn't count.
Now, Dylan, don't cheat your audience. You started the playthrough and rolled the 3 fair and square. You have better gamer integrity than that.
Oh, alright. I'm not gonna wimp out.
Is that a Nintendo controller? Aren't you playing the Legacy Collection on Switch?
Well, yes, but I thought I'd indulge the audience into a little nostalgia. Most of us have started Mega Man 2 with these little controllers. I'm getting all sorts of nostalgic butterflies.
But you're playing on Switch with a Pro Controller. Come on, Dylan, stop lying to your audience.
Emotional support animal in my ass. I wanted my doctor to prescribe me some wacky medications, but no, I get prescribed an emotional support cat.
That's right.
Alright, I'm back at Quickman. I was worried Quickman would only take 1 point of damage from my shots, but he takes 2 points of damage, which helps. Phew, I considered using my energy tank, but I didn't have to. I didn't have to use my cheat either.
Saving your cheat for the Heatman stage, are you?
Shh, you're not supposed to tell that to the audience. Time for us to roll again. This playthrough makes me nervous because there's a couple of levels that can be difficult when done out of order. So let's see where we go next. S7. That takes us to Flashman stage. Oh great, I rolled this level after the Quickman stage. It would have been helpful if I had rolled it before. Alright, the ice level of Flashman. Honestly, this was the first level I ever tried in this game when I was a kid. A lot of people have fond memories of this game, and they even go as far as saying it's the best in the series. But I do think there are a lot of design flaws in some of the levels, and I'll address them as I get to them. This stage is actually pretty short. This is an early Mega Man game, so levels have maybe a dozen screens, if that. I want the energy tank. I can't slip off of these ice blocks. Flashman. Okay, the boomerangs don't work. Flashman is like a horny dog, constantly trying to make body contact with you. Should I use an energy tank or lose a life instead? I ended up using my energy tank after all. Ah yes, the slow weapon screen. At least this game had this cutscene to tell you that you got a new weapon. The original Mega Man game didn't have this. As a kid, I had actually beaten a couple of robot masters in the first Mega Man game without knowing I acquired their weapon. It was a cool moment though when I realized I stole their weapon. Alright, time for another roll. Okay, F5. That takes us to Woodman. Okay, so not a terrible early level. This soundtrack is still legendary, even after all these years. So, Woodman's level has a lot of animals, starting with these bats. Now these hot dogs. At least my quick boomerang seems pretty useful. There are unique enemies here that you don't see anywhere else in the game. Okay, that's weird. The boomerang bounces off this egg, but it can destroy the babies. Rabbit, how dare you fire your carrot at me? This section has those jumping chickens. Just let them jump over you. Now I'm at Woodman. He stays within his leaf shield for a lot of the battle, so you have to sneak damage in whenever he tosses it at you. He actually has a lot of weaknesses. The atomic fire, the metal blade, even the crash bombs can penetrate his shield. I don't have any of those weapons though. Ah damn, I don't think I have enough health to take him down. Here we try again. Oh, that's a lot of damage. Damn, I'll have to use an energy tank. And we got him. Alright, it's time we roll for our next level. Yay, Airman! Phew, I'm relieved. I'll tell you guys why in a few minutes. So, Airman is a pretty good level, a little annoying because it's one of those levels you can't really rush, and the bottomless pit below you is your worst enemy. Ah shit, I missed this little guy, now I'm paying for it. Here we try again. Ah, this part. I remember this part being more difficult on the difficult setting. They take 3 shots instead of 2, and you're always positioned awkwardly. Ah shit, I didn't get the 3rd shot in. Starting the stage over again. And I miss my jump. Just lovely. Now a game over, but that doesn't free me from this level. Unless I want to use my cheat. But no, I do want to beat this level. I think you lose all of your energy tanks in this game too when you get a game over, which sucks. But I think I had none, I used my last one at Woodman. Alright, trying this part again. Hello? Are you just gonna leave me hanging here? Okay, phew, we made it. You have to be careful at this giant face enemy. There are 2 in a row, and if you don't make them appear in a specific way, you can offset the timing of those horns. Then you're kinda screwed. Now we are at Airman. We have his weakness weapon too, the leaf blower. The leaf shield. Alright, this is why I was hoping to get the Airman stage. You get item number 2, which is a jet type item. Without it, the Heatman stage is virtually impossible. If I was gonna roll the Heatman stage before Airman, I was gonna use my cheat. And if the situation happened again, I would have just hit the quit button. Even I have my limits. I'll explain more once I get to the Heatman stage. So let's roll again. Alright, we finally roll Metal Man. People usually like to start with this stage to get Metal Man's overpowered weapon. Strange, I said I would edit out the rolls that don't count, but I haven't rolled to a beaten level yet. Anyway, we get another fun level with pretty catchy music. An easy energy tank here. I forgot how slippery Mega Man feels in this game. He doesn't feel this slippery in future games. A lot of people don't seem to like the leaf shield. I actually like it quite a bit. It is true that it only stays on you when you don't move, but you can jump with it. It's very useful against these drill enemies. Throw the shield to clear a path and walk forward. Alright, this energy tank is pretty much placed into a trap. If you don't have items number 1, 2, or 3, you're pretty much stuck here. Luckily, I do have item 2 to get me out of this predicament. Now at Metal Man. He's weak against the quick boomerang, strangely. It's weird, you'd think he'd be weak against the crash bombs, but I don't think there are any robot masters that have the crash bombs as their particular weakness. It can enter Woodman's leaf shield, that's about it. Alright, I think we'll stop it here for today. If you know this game, I urge you to try this challenge as well. Join me in the next episode where I attempt to finish this classic. Welcome back to Creative Gaming. In the last episode, I started a dice challenge run of Mega Man 2, where I rolled an 8-sided die and that decides my level, as simple as that. I had to start with Quickman's level, lucky me. Then I rolled Flashman, then Woodman, then Airman, and finally Metal Man. We have Bubble Man, Heat Man, and Crash Man left, as well as the Wily stages, so let's roll for the next level. Wow, up until now I hadn't rolled any repeat levels, I'll just keep on rolling. Alright, 1. Now we get to Bubble Man's level. Another awesome track. It's very, forgive the pun, bubbly. It's not too difficult to stage, although I hate these platforms here. Once you step on them, they give away after about half a second, but they are spread out a bit far from each other. You have to walk a tiny bit on them to get more distance. Seriously, if you have a friend who's never played Mega Man 2, make them try this level and you'll see how much they struggle at this part. The rest of the level is fun. This giant fish enemy can be a bit difficult for new players. You have to jump aim carefully while it keeps spitting out enemies at you. Now we're at Bubble Man, another boss who doesn't stand a chance against the Metal Blade. Alright, so now we have 2 robot masters left, Heat Man and Crash Man. Let's see where I'm going next. Eight, so we go to Crash Man next. This is one of those levels that, if it's your first pick, you'll have a miserable time. This is where some of the game's rough design kicks in. This first part here is fine, it comes a little later in this level. Also, where exactly are we? What is this level? I don't know what this level is supposed to be. These multi-pipe floors and little platforms on rails with the peppy music. Is this some amusement park? Where are we? Anyway, this part is best with the leaf shield or metal blade, otherwise it can be difficult to hit these enemies on screen. And this is where the game has some very poor design. You climb these ladders and this bird drops some egg that scatter into enemies that head to your direction. It's a bit unfair because there isn't much you can do about these little birds that are gonna attack you from an angle that you can't reach them. I'm talking if this is the first level of the game you choose, of course. You have no special weapons, and if you get hit, Mega Man falls off the ladder, and if you hit the bottom of the screen, you go back to the previous screen. I don't know if the developers just expected you to take the hit and move on, but anybody who wants to do a no damage run of this game, if you choose this level first, good luck. Now we get to Crash Man. He seems aggressive at first, but he responds to your attacks. Every time you shoot, he jumps, so that's your key to victory. If you have the air shooter, he goes down in a couple of hits. And with that, we're on to the last Robot Master.
Are you sure you didn't remove the 4 from your die? I find it very suspicious that you never rolled Heat Man's level.
Nope, the 4 is there, Negativio. I was lucky enough never to roll it, I guess. Come on, Negativio, don't you trust me? Would this face lie to you? I think not.
I have my eye on you, Dylan Evers.
Ah, what the hell was that voice? Am I going crazy? Nah, that cat's probably just screwing with me again. So we enter Heatman's level. I didn't need to use my cheat, thank God. But for those of you who were wondering, if you try this level before Airman's level, you're in for a miserable time. This level has a part with one of the worst executed traps in the franchise's history. So this is the part we're talking about. These disappearing blocks go on for quite a while. The pattern itself isn't too difficult, but the problem is the irregular pattern at which they appear. They seem to depend on the movement of the screen, so one screen they might appear normally, but the next screen they might be out of sync. I have to confess something. When it comes to the Mega Man and Mega Man X series, I've pretty much accomplished everything there is to accomplish. I've completed every trap at least once, beaten every Robot Master or Maverick with my normal weapon at least once, etc, etc. But the one thing I have never accomplished is this block sequence in Heatman's level. It eventually just leaves you stranded in the middle of this pit of lava, and you just fall to your death. I never know if I've pushed the screen forward too much or if I didn't push the screen far enough, but regardless, I have never passed this without the jet. They really should just have scrapped this part. Oh shit, I didn't have enough energy to clear the entire pit? Ugh. The checkpoint is a little far away too. Now I'm gonna have to grind for more weapon energy. They don't drop capsules anymore? Wait a minute, do they eventually just stop dropping items altogether? Phew, don't scare me like that. Alright, finally past that dreaded pit. Now Heatman. Very easy if you have the bubble lid, but can be a challenge without it. Finally, we get item 1 as well, and I've never gotten item 1 before item 2. Now we're on to the Wily stages. Ah, this masterpiece. Its reputation precedes itself. This game has one of the best overall soundtracks for a Nintendo game. There are other great soundtracks like Batman or DuckTales or Castlevania 3, and the other Mega Man games of course. As a kid, I was kinda stuck at this part. I tried the jet, but note that ladder is too high up. I didn't realize at the time that item number 1, the platform, you can put up to 3 on one screen. Now we get to the dragon. He's very dangerous because if you take a hit, you'll most likely fall off one of these platforms and die, and the checkpoint is pretty far away. If you do get hit, make sure it's from this upper platform, that way you'll fall on that block to the right. This is a really cool looking big boss though. This game came out in 1988. You didn't see huge bosses like this very often at the time. It makes the screen flicker though and slows down the action, and I swear Mega Man is knocked back further than normal because of this, but we still take the dragon down. Now we're on to the second Wily stage. Get this energy tank here, but oh, we already have 4. I wasted a crash bomb. You want these full for a particular boss. Again, I like the leaf shield. It makes this part much easier. I normally use the time stopper here, but well, I'll try to get through without it. Oh, nice. It's very rare that I can get between these two chains without taking a hit. So this is a pretty fun boss. I don't know if he's inspired off the idea of the Yellow Devil, but he's definitely much easier. As usual, the fateful Metal Blade does the job here. The third Wily stage. Now we're switching music. It's a lot calmer than the first 2 stages' theme. I still like it though. It's like the theme of entering deeper into a mad scientist's mind, or his castle. I read somewhere that these giant fish are supposed to be invulnerable to all of Mega Man's weapons. He's supposed to be indestructible, but the quick boomerang destroys them in one hit. Maybe an oversight by the developers, but let me know if this fact is true or not. Ah, this part, the infamous spikes. It's more nerve-wracking than difficult, and as Mega Man falls, his momentum increases quite a bit, so if you want to slow it down, you can just hit the start button. Yes, I know it's a cheap exploit, and not that I really need it, of course. Get this dude here. Jeez, he's a million hits with the bubble lid. Here we have another impressive huge boss. This giant gutsman is weak against a quick boomerang. The fourth Wily stage is another ill-designed stage. Well, I take that back. The stage itself is not ill-designed, but its boss is. I'll talk about it more when I get there. This stage has some illusion floors, solid looking floors that you can fall through. If you're having trouble, you can use the bubble lid. Since it scales the ground, you can see where the false floors are. I do like that a weapon has multiple uses, not just to attack enemies, but can help the player in some other way. Again, you have to be observant, otherwise you could trap yourself. This part is very dangerous. You'd think that you could jump from that block to the moving platform, then to the other side, but I don't think it's possible. It's too wide of a gap. Don't take chances, use your jet. I hate the placement of this Sniper Joe. He's virtually impossible to take down without taking a hit. Alright, now we get to probably the most infamous boss in this game. When a player sees this for the first time, they're probably thinking, okay, weird cramped room, but whatever. Your first instinct is to probably use the crash bomb on this wall in the middle of the room, but if you do that, you've doomed yourself right off the bat. You see, there are 5 turrets in this room, and they have one lone weakness, the crash bomb. Each crash bomb use 4 points of energy, which means you can use this weapon 7 times total. So there are 5 turrets and 5 walls, so you have to reason out which 2 walls to bomb. There's just no way any player's gonna reason all this out the first time they get here. Heck, even when they arrive at this boss the second or third time, they might still not have pieced it together. So use item 1 and 3 to climb when you need to. I can't even call this boss battle broken, because technically it's not broken, but it's expecting too much of the player. So you're only supposed to bomb the 2 walls that directly cover the 2 turrets. I never pieced all of this together as a 10-year-old kid. I actually beat this boss another way. Another solution is when you arrive here, make sure you're not on your last life. Bomb the walls you want, then inevitably get yourself killed. You respawn in about the middle of the level. You're gonna have to fill up your crash bombs again, so get grinding. When you return to the boss room, the walls that you destroyed last time will remain destroyed, as long as you don't get a game over. So when you return here again, you can tackle the turrets more easily. But that's an asinine way to get around bad boss design, isn't it? Phew, now we get to the boss rush. So for the first time in the entire series, we have a room with teleportation devices that take you to each of the robot masters. Another problem in this game is if you get a game over, you lose all of your energy tanks. If you get a game over on this level, you're up shit's creek, especially on the difficult setting. You have to beat the 8 robot masters, then Wily has 2 machines, both that do a considerable amount of damage. One thing that I like about the Wily machines is they don't have any invincibility frames, so you can just shoot as quickly as you can and pile on the damage. It's doable without energy tanks, but pretty difficult. So we get a fake out. While we thought it was the end of the game, but nope, there's one final level, making you feel like you've reached the outside borders of the game. Now we face the final form of Wily. Whatever you do, don't get hit by his body, it hurts for massive damage. The only thing that works is the bubble lead weapon. So the pattern is actually pretty simple. He moves in an 8 formation on its side, or an infinity symbol. The stars give you the impression that he's moving semi-randomly, but he's not. If you don't have energy tanks at this point, you're probably okay, just practice his pattern. And with that, Wily is defeated. Oh wow, Wily can jump even higher than Mega Man. Seriously, that's like 30 feet. Wily should be in the Olympics. So we get a nice relaxing cutscene of Mega Man walking through with different weather. And now we hear that kick-ass theme from the beginning of the game. And that was Mega Man 2. Ah, this game. People remember it fondly and many have it as their favorite classic Mega Man game. I love it as well, though I did point out a few of its flaws. It's the second in the series, so the fine-tuning and polish wasn't quite there yet. It is believed that this game was made by Capcom developers on their free time. The first Mega Man had a mediocre reception, but the developers still wanted to work on a sequel, and the rest is history. Today, Mega Man is a pretty big franchise, or was a pretty big franchise. The X series stopped at X8 and that was released in 2004, and Mega Man 11 came out in 2018, which was a nice surprise, but that was 7 years ago now, and no word of Mega Man 12 yet. Mega Man seems to just pop in every once in a while. Might be a licensing issue, who owns the rights to the character, but I'm really not sure. Do you plan on trying a dice challenge like I just did? Let me know if you'd like me to do this dice challenge with this game again. Different rolls of the dice might provide a different experience. Or should I try this challenge with any other Mega Man games? Let me know. Give me a like, subscribe, and share your experiences in the comments if you try this challenge yourself. Got anything to add, Negativio? Convenient. That silly cat's still sleeping under my moment of triumph. He seems to always be awake for my failures though. Actually, I'm realizing that this emotional support cat is more effective when he's asleep. I better go. I'll let him have his little 16-hour cat nap. Keep gaming, everyone.
I have my eye on you, Dylan Evers.
Oh, I think I'm gonna go shopping or something.
Dylan's easy to mess with.
Hello everybody, and welcome to Creative Gaming, the show where we inject a bit of RNG into our playthroughs, either for challenge purposes or just a new way to play the game. Alright, which game are we on to this month, Negativio? Is it time for some more Mega Man yet?
Yep, seems to be next on your schedule.
Alright, we did Mega Man 2 a few months ago. I think it's about time for Mega Man 3. Another childhood favorite of mine. I remember being a kid, going to my local rental store one day, and I was watching the workers unpack the next few Nintendo games that would be available for rentals. I got excited when I saw them take out Mega Man 3. I had seen the advertisements in Nintendo Power, so I knew it was coming. I rented it before they even officially put the box on the shelf, and I went home to play it. After the awesomeness that is Mega Man 2, I couldn't wait to see what Mega Man 3 had to offer, and I definitely wasn't disappointed. Looking back today, it's kind of strange how this third game breaks certain conventions, like the Doc Robot stages, 2 different chains of weaknesses, etc. And I will talk about more of these as I play the game. Alright, so as nostalgic as I am, I won't pretend to play on an old NES controller like I did in the last Mega Man challenge. Thanks to El Groucho here.
That would be me. This show needs some quality control.
I am playing the Legacy Collection on Switch, but I'm not using any easy mode or anything. I don't even remember if this version has it. But I will be playing it with the old school difficulty that I remember. So here are the rules for this playthrough. They're the same rules as Mega Man 2. I'll roll an 8-sided die to determine the level and Robot Master that I'm taking on. So 1 would be Sparkman, 2 would be Snake Man, etc, etc. I can't revisit stages once I complete them, so I'm probably just gonna edit out the dud rolls, or rolls to stages that I've already completed. A game over doesn't allow me to change stages. However, I will allow myself 1 cheat or reroll. If I get stuck, I can reroll the die 1 time to change my level. I have to use this carefully because a reroll could send me to a better or worse level. So strategy is key. Alright, here we go. Mega Man 2 had arguably the best soundtrack in the series, but Mega Man 3 has a pretty good soundtrack as well. It's hard to top the soundtrack of the second game, but Mega Man 3 holds its own just fine. Whenever a new Mega Man game was coming out, I was always curious as to what new Robot Masters we would have to deal with. This game had classics like Snake Man, Magnet Man, and it has other classics like Top Man and Hard Man, but no sexual innuendos on this show, folks.
He hasn't gotten to those yet.
Wanna make Mega Man dizzy?
He's so juvenile.
Alright, it's time to roll for my very first Robot Master. Here we go. And I roll an 8. So that would be Shadow Man. Oh geez, this is probably the role I was dreading the most. Shadow Man is probably the most difficult Robot Master to take down with your regular arm cannon. Of course, I had to start with Quick Man in Mega Man 2. Now I have to start with Shadow Man in Mega Man 3. I'm just not lucky at these friggin' dice rolls. Alright, here goes nothing. So the level itself isn't difficult, kind of this weird sewer area. I don't know if that red water is sewer water or molten lava. There are some weird themed stages in Mega Man 3. Here we get the introduction to Proto Man. He's kind of a friend-enemy. Sometimes he helps you, sometimes he fights you. These bulb things are an interesting enemy. They make the screen go dark, but there is also the illusion of a star field that scrolls by. Its purpose is to disorient you. This area has those parachuting enemies. It's best to draw them out from the platform, perform a fake jump. Otherwise, this level is pretty standard. I guess I'm at the end already. This was still a time where Mega Man levels were pretty short. Now I get to Shadow Man. He's insanely difficult with your regular weapon. He jumps in the air 2 or 3 times, but afterwards he either slides towards you or throws 2 of his shadow blades. I never know which attack he's going to use, and you have to react slightly different to both attacks. When he slides towards you, he'll jump immediately after, so it's difficult to jump over him. Ah damn, I have a game over already. Should I use my cheat right off the bat? There are a couple of other robot masters who are pretty difficult to take down with just your regular weapon. Shadow Man's level is pretty short, so I guess I'll give it another try. Ah damn, my energy's only at half. I don't have an energy tank. I don't stand a chance against this boss. So I have to farm. Oh, that big capsule I do need. Here I try Shadow Man again. God, he's brutal. This boss is weak against the infamous top spin, which I do not have. The top spin has its own set of problems, and I'm sure we'll get into that. Damn, I died again. I might have to use my cheat. I don't think I can get past him. Whew, I can't believe I got him. I don't think I've ever beaten him with my normal weapon before. Now we get the Shadow Blade, this game's version of the Metal Blade from Mega Man 2. I do find the Shadow Blade vastly inferior though. Alright, now it's time to roll for a second level. A 3, so that will be Needle Man. Aw man, this playthrough is totally backwards. I'm starting with the robot masters I usually fight last. Needle Man is another boss who's pretty difficult with your regular weapon. The level itself is okay. These porcupine enemies take a few hits. If you can't take them down in time, they'll roll towards you. Alright, let's try the Shadow Blade. Well, it has decent strength, but you can only throw one at a time, it comes back to you, and Mega Man is pretty grounded when he uses it, he can't move. We're at the boss already. Again, pretty short level. Needle Man is pretty difficult too. He jumps and fires needles which come to you fast from an awkward angle. Oh damn, this was my last life? Should I use my cheat? I'm gonna try again. It worked out well for Shadow Man. Maybe I'll get lucky with Needle Man too. Get this energy tank again? If any of you are trying this challenge, you could get this tank over and over, then get a game over and collect it again. Unlike Mega Man 2, you keep your energy tanks even when you get a game over. It's monotonous, but there's nothing in the rules that say you can't do this. Even if you want to enter a password to start the game with as many E-tanks as you want, I won't judge you too harshly. There's nothing in my rules that say you can't do that. I won't resort to this though, so the E-tanks I collect will be the E-tanks that I have. I'm at Needleman again. I'm debating on whether I will use my E-tank or not. Due to the nature of this challenge run, I don't know how many tanks I will get in the long run, so I'm trying to hang on to them. Dead again! Oh, I'm totally screwed. Damn it, another game over. I should maybe have tried the Shadow Blade, but I forgot. Should I try again and use my precious E-tank, or should I just use my one-time cheat? Alright, I hope I don't regret it, but I'm gonna use my cheat. Alright, let's get a different level. Hopefully we can get a reasonable Robot Master this time. If I happen to roll Needleman, I can reroll. I am legitimately allowed another result. A 2, that takes us to Snake Man. Alright, this should be a little more doable. So, Snake Man has a pretty cool level with very catchy music. I like the look of this weird snake fortress too. I think this is the only Mega Man game that has these containers with question marks, giving a random item. Ah, this part. This part is more dangerous than you'd expect. When you see the cloud platform coming up, it's best to jump when it gets right beneath your feet, otherwise you can inexplicably get pushed off the structure and die. I don't know if this was a glitch. These cloud bullet enemies don't make things easier either. Now Snake Man. New players might find him difficult the first time they fight him, but he always goes from the right side of the screen to the left, then back to the right again. Once you position yourself to jump over him from the higher middle platform, you should be fine. Alright, we've beaten our second Robot Master, off of my cheat, but I think it was worth it. Time to roll again. A 6. 6 takes us to Gemini Man. This is another boss that would be difficult with the regular arm cannon, but luckily I just got his weakness, the Search Snake. This is one of the weirder levels in the game. When you think of a Gemini Man, what type of level do you think it would consist of? Well, how about a weird space, intergalactal, nightmarish, robotic... I don't know what the hell this level's supposed to be, but I guess they had to come up with something. Since they already used many themes in other games like Fire and Ice, this third game didn't want to repeat those themes, unlike some of the sequels which will beat the same themes to death. The challenge of this level is a bit different than the other ones. You get a lot of these eggs, and when you fire at them you release these blue sperm thingies. It does get a little monotonous because this goes on for a while. This penguin mini-boss. Again, don't know what any of this has to do with a Gemini. This stage hasn't been too difficult so far. This part here is a bit more challenging though. You only have these small blocks to hang on, and you sometimes have to coordinate two different enemies who attempt to attack you. That submarine releases an upward missile, and a dragonfly that comes from the sky. It's a pretty dangerous area. If you have the Rush Marine, which I do have right now, you can attempt to avoid some of this challenge, but you still have to get back onto a block. You cannot use your submarine up to the end of this area. It's just a dead end, and you'll have to turn back. Trying to coordinate these two. Ah shit, I had to fall at the last friggin' hurdle. I'll give the Rush Marine a try, but again, you can't go to the very end with it. Be more careful this time. You have to coordinate these enemies like a dance. Alright, Gemini Man. He starts off with a twin. They're weak against the Search Snake, and after half of his energy is gone, its twin disappears. And with that, we're on to the next level. We also get the Gemini Laser, a weapon that sounds cool on paper, but ends up being kinda useless. I still use it in a few instances. Let's roll for the next level. Alright, I rolled a 3 for Needleman again, but I actually have his weakness weapon this time, which is the Gemini Laser. And yes, my dice rolls are real, I promise. These porcupines go down fast with the Shadow Blade. Here's a trick I think most players know. To get the Rush Jet, you normally have to beat this level, and since you can't return to levels once you beat them, it theoretically means that it's impossible to ever use the Rush Jet in this level. But if you have the Shadow Blade, the Rush Jet is actually situated to the right of it in the menu. So if you put the selection on Shadow Blade and then press right, then start, you can actually choose the locked Rush Jet. It's empty on weapon energy, but you can actually fill it up and then use it. Now back to Needleman. He goes down pretty quickly with the Gemini Laser. It's the only time it's used by most players. And now we officially get the Rush Jet. On to the next level. I roll a 1, so it's time I get to the Sparkman level. Another cool level theme. Most of this level is pretty simple except for one part. This part with the lift is pretty dangerous, raising you towards the spiked ceiling. There is another part that's even more dangerous. Now this garbage area, it's best to keep going. This part here, there are these screw enemies that appear making progress more dangerous and complicated. Sparkman, I don't think I have his weakness weapon. I might have to use my arm cannon. Maybe I'll try another weapon. Okay, the needle cannon does 2 points of damage, so that should help us. Ah shit, I'm stupid. Actually, his weakness was the Shadow Blade, which I've had since the beginning of the game. Sorry folks, brain fart on my part.
You get a lot of brain gas from Dylan.
Alright, so Topman and Hardman are still on our list. Again, no sexual innuendos here, folks. Time to roll again. Alright, so number 4 takes us to Hardman. In this level, you can just off-screen these bee enemies. Why deal with that crap? Now experimenting with some weapons. Gemini Laser, useless as usual. If you choose this level first, this part is actually a bit difficult since you have to use the rush coil and time your jumps right. A lot of the level is pretty standard, not too many standout moments. Maybe just the bees and these croc enemies. Now we get to Proto Man again. And now we're at Hardman. I don't have his weakness weapon, the magnet missiles, but he's actually pretty easy. You can pretty much just brute force him, stand nearby and keep shooting. And we get his weapon, the hard knuckle, fisting weapon? Alright, now I only have 2 levels left. These 2 levels are pretty much the 2 who players usually start with. I said earlier that the dice are taking me backwards on this journey. I started with Shadowman and Needleman, who are usually some of the last robot masters we fight, and now I'm gonna end with Magnetman and Topman. But I will stop it here for today, so join me in the next episode as I make my way through the rest of this game. Welcome back to Creative Gaming. In the last episode, I started a dice challenge for Mega Man 3, where I roll an 8-sided die to decide my level. I first had to start with Shadowman, like the worst of them all. Then I rolled to Needleman, which wasn't too much better. I didn't make it, so I used my one-time cheat to get Snake Man. Then I was on to Gemini Man. I got Needleman again, and I finally beat him with his weakness weapon. Then Sparkman, then Hardman. I have Magnetman and Topman left. You know, the 2 easiest ones that people usually start with. Anyway, let's roll. Alright, we finally rolled to Magnetman, the level I would normally pick first for this game. I like the upbeat, catchy theme of this level. These magnet enemies lift you up in the air. I think they're actually very underutilized. If you've played Mega Man Maker, players have constructed many unique challenges using these enemies. Now Proto Man again. Ah, the disappearing blocks. We can't go through one Mega Man game without these, can we? I could use the Rush Jet to bypass this, but these aren't too difficult. Just wait for the higher block to appear here. Trying to find a use for the Gemini laser again. Now at Magnetman, he's weak against the Spark Shot. He actually takes 2 points of damage from your regular arm cannon too, which makes him a pretty good first choice. Alright, so we are down to our last Robot Master, so we don't need to roll for this one. Now we get to the bizarre level of Topman, a bizarre but oddly catchy theme. But again, what is this level? Some type of weed factory? The background is sky blue. You would think this would be the sky, but no, you see these furnace things in the background, or whatever they are. It's kind of funny how they made a Robot Master out of a toy. I wonder how those toy tops are threatening to robots, but whatever. Now I get to the terrifying Topman. His weakness is the hard knuckle, so that's right, Topman likes it hard.
Sexual innuendo alert.
Now we get the ever so loved, the ever so cherished, the ever so useful Topspin, a weapon that reinvented the way you look at special weapons in video games.
What?
I'm just kidding, it sucks. Glad you're still paying attention, Negativio. But yeah, the Topspin is something else. I'll talk about it more a bit later. Alright, so now we get to one of the most unique things about Mega Man 3, the Doc Robot levels. I do think it's a cool and interesting concept, although there is a bit of a missed execution, and I'll talk about it more as I go. So I'm just gonna quickly roll a 6-sided die here. 1 to 4 will represent the levels, and 5 and 6 will be wild, where I can choose whichever level I want. I'm not gonna waste too much time here or build up anticipation with the rolls, since the order in which we do these levels doesn't really matter. A 4, so I'll start with the revisit of Shadowman's level. So the levels are similar to their earlier versions, but have added traps. These 4 revisit levels are the real challenge in this game. Levels are a little harder, but there are 2 bosses and checkpoints are scarce. Ah shit, these platforms give away quickly. I might as well use the rush jet, no point in taking any unnecessary risks. And we arrive to Woodman. So that's right, these levels have all 8 robot masters from the previous game. It was interesting to bring these bosses back for this game. They each enter a dock robot, certainly an attempt by the developers to save data on animation sprites. These battles are more difficult than the originals. First of all, their sprites and hitboxes feel bigger. Also, you have different weapons now, so you might not know what their weakness is. So you do have to experiment. And if I would have died here, I would have had to start at the beginning of the level. There's a checkpoint right after the boss and that's it. If you die at the second boss, you start from there. It definitely makes things challenging, a challenge that many people didn't like. This part again. Now we have Heatman. No bubble led to save us this time, but his weakness is the Shadow Blade. It's funny how I remember the weaknesses for most of these bosses. Now I roll for the second dock robot level. Okay, so a 6 is wild. I think I'll get rid of probably the most problematic level, the Needleman Revisit. In Mega Man 2, I did talk about some archaic level designs. Levels in Mega Man 3 are generally a little better designed, but there is a problem with the stage here that I'll get to. Airman, his weakness was the Spark Shock. I think they have a couple of weaknesses each, but I don't remember what some of the other ones are. This is the part that's a bit problematic. You ride on the rush jet, which is actually pretty cool. You fight enemies and get energy capsules as you fly along to recharge. The problem is, if you happen to die during this stage, or even at the boss, you'll start at the beginning of this pit, and the energy capsules that you picked up don't respawn, so without some careful planning and farming capsules from enemies, you'll be up shit's creek to get past this pit on your second try. The rest of the level is fine, I don't have too much to say about it. Decent mini-boss here. Now we get the fight with Crashman. I think the very slow hard knuckle is his weakness. So Crashman likes to crash hard as well.
That analogy didn't work.
So this is more difficult than using the 2-hit kill air shooter. And as I said, if you die here, you have to restart at that long pit, with probably a rush jet low on energy. Alright, on to the next level. 1. Now we return to the banging theme of Sparkman. You have to watch which direction these wheels roll. Now we are at Metal Man. Don't you wish you could get his metal blades? He's weak against the magnet missiles, which is appropriate. The rest of this level is similar to its first counterpart, nothing too difficult. Now we get to Quickman. He's faster than ever. One of his weaknesses is the Search Snake. And there we go. Alright, on to the last level, the revisit of Gemini Man stage. Not too much to say, similar challenges as the original level, just fire at these eggs and these blue sperms. Now I get to Flashman Part 2. He chases you around like before. I forget what his weakness is. The needle cannon works fine. We get to use the Rush Marine for a bit. You can theoretically run out of energy just like the Jet in the Needleman Revisit, but this portion is shorter, so it's not as much of a problem if you die. Now at Bubble Man. Predictably, he's weak against the Spark Shock. Easy peasy. Now we battle Breakman. Breakman? Who the hell is Breakman? Similar battle as before. And now we're on to the Wily stages. Yup, the Wily stages. I bet you didn't see that coming. So now we get to the final levels in the game. These levels are actually considered some of the easiest Wily levels in the franchise. I don't know if the developers ran out of time, or if they were afraid of repeating the mistakes made in Mega Man 2, where Mega Man could be trapped in a later level with no energy tanks. But here, they're pretty generous. They're pretty much all over the place. I guess this first Wily level is a sewer area. Now we get to this weird boss. At first you might be thinking the machine above is the target, but no, it's actually the turtles. I'm probably the only one who uses a top spin here, but it works pretty well. Most people use the Shadow Blade. Now on to the second level. This level is actually pretty short, so short in fact that it doesn't even have a checkpoint. Off screen the bees again. Now we get to use the Rush Jet again, but it's not a long stretch like in the Needleman Revisit. And here we get to one of the most infamous bosses in Mega Man, the Yellow Devil. This version is a bit easier than in the original Mega Man, although he does have one extra attack that's different. Oh shit, I didn't keep an eye on my energy. I'll have to start the level over again. This boss actually comes back many times to the franchise, and I swear that his pattern is the same for each one. I kinda knew it by heart, but I'm a little rusty since I haven't played this in a few years. Use the Rush Jet here. Avoiding those bouncy blocks is practically impossible. Going well, just got to be a little more patient. Oh shit, I thought I was done, but still one hit left. Alright, stage 3. We get a different theme too. Again, nothing too difficult here. Here we get to the 3 clones of Mega Man. Their weakness is the Search Snake. If I can find the real clone. Another one down. Stage 4. This is just a small part here before we get to the fight with the 8 Robot Masters. One interesting thing about this game is, if you use the enemy's own weapon against him, it will always do 4 points of damage. So if you've forgotten their weakness, just use their own weapon. These boss rushes have become tradition since the second game. This level doesn't have an actual boss either, just a battle with these guys. Now Shadow Man, and we have to use the most unreliable weapon, the top spin. It sucks because your entire weapon energy bar can drain all the way if you're not lucky. You see, like it did here. That really sucks. Now I have to take him down with something else. So yep, the top spin sucks ass. You have to risk body contact with an enemy, and oftentimes you'll take damage. Now we're on to the next level. It's just one room, then the boss. It's interesting with what they did with the Wily machines here. It's definitely different than what you see in most Mega Man games, which is the Skull Ship. Now the final level. This is the second game where they use this trick, the fake out level. And now we get to Gamma, the giant robot that Wily and Dr. Light were working on before Wily's unexpected backstab. It definitely looks huge and impressive. And what is the biggest weakness of this imposing foe? Why, the top spin, of course. He goes down with one hit with it. If you don't want to use the top spin, you can just use the Search Snake. I believe these are the only two weapons that can damage him. And with that, we've completed the game. When I beat this game as a kid, I actually thought Mega Man 3 would be the last Mega Man game. It looked like Wily was crushed under a pile of debris, so I didn't really have any reason to think that he would come back. And with that, I have another victory under my belt. Thank you! Thank you!
We have a very responsive audience.
Yeah, you'd think they reacted to push of a button. So, Mega Man 3 was definitely a treat when it came out. Following the incredible Mega Man 2, it defied a lot of the conventions that we see today in a lot of the Mega Man games. The Doc Robot stages, with the return of the previous 8 Robot Masters from the previous game. Mega Man's Mechanical Dog Rush replaced the more bland items 1, 2, and 3 from Mega Man 2. The slide was added, and 2 different weakness chains in the Robot Masters. The special weapons are a mixed bag. They're not nearly as good as the second game. The Hard Knuckle is too slow to be practical. The Search Snake is okay, but not great. The Shadow Blade is a downgrade from the Metal Blade, etc, etc. And the Top Spin? Well, it's the Top Spin. But overall, this is a great follow-up from its 2 predecessors. Whether it's better than 2 or not is a matter of opinion, but I have a real fondness for Mega Man 3, as I do for 2. This playthrough went well, although looking back I probably should have used an energy tank at Needleman stage instead of using my cheat. The cheat is supposed to be a last resort, so using E-Tank should have been prioritized. But oh well, I made it through regardless. I was afraid of how many E-Tanks I would have throughout the game, so I was kind of hoarding them early on. I didn't want to be caught at the Doc Robot stages without energy tanks, where you usually need to use some of them. But they did give me enough to get through. So that's it, everybody. Give this challenge a try. I'll hopefully see you in the next episode, and keep gaming. Hello everybody, welcome to Creative Gaming, the show where I inject a bit of RNG into my playthroughs, either for challenge purposes or just a new way to play the game. And you all know my faithful sidekick, who's just like Robin to Batman, my emotional support cat, Negativio.
I also double as a counseling cat.
It's time to get back to classic Mega Man. We are up to the 4th in the series. I've already done 2 and 3, so you might want to check out those episodes as well.
What about 1? You didn't do 1?
No, I skipped over the first one. Maybe someday I'll do it, but there's only 6 Robot Masters, so that would probably just be 1 episode instead of 2. Anyway, Mega Man 4, released in 1991. I was a young kid when I first played this. It was strange to see a part 4 in a video game. There was Super Mario 3, a Castlevania 3, but games never seemed to make it to 4, or they would change names or put a twist on the name. So anyway, here are the rules for this playthrough. Very simple, I roll an 8-sided die to determine my levels. A dice challenge for these Mega Man games is interesting because you do the levels out of your regular sequence. So you might be challenged by a boss whom you do not have his weakness weapon yet, or a stage where you don't have your usual selection of weapons, so you have to get creative with the weapons you do have. I won't be returning to levels that I've already completed, so I'll probably edit out those rolls. A game over does not allow me to change stages. I will allow myself one cheat or reroll. If I'm having trouble with a level or its boss, I can re-roll the die just once to get a different level. I encourage you to give this challenge a try yourself. At the end of Mega Man 3, Dr. Wily's fate was left a bit ambiguous. He seemingly gets crushed by a block, so we're not sure if he's dead or not. There is a scene where Wily's ship flies into a tree, but it looks so small that I always thought it was just a bird that was going into the tree. So this was probably the first and only time that we had doubts as if Dr. Wily would return as the main villain. So it introduces a new villain by the name of Dr. Cossack with a brand new roster of 8 Robot Masters. So it is time to roll and see which level I'll tackle on first. Here we go. A 1. 1 is Ringman. Oh, he's a nasty robot master to start with. You wouldn't think a robot named Ringman would hit you quick and hard like a freight train, but here we are. We start off the level with these beaming platforms that slide away when you step on them. If you have the rain flush, you can quickly get rid of these pesky enemies. Now we get to the Hippo mini-boss. I'm always impressed with the sprite work in these early Mega Man games. Capcom was awesome for the Nintendo. They represented other games like DuckTales and Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers quite well. And of course Mega Man with the wacky designs of these robots. Some more platforming here. Another mini-boss-ish type enemy. You can only damage this enemy when it releases its rings and its eyes are open. It's a short window, so you have to observe carefully. This Hippo again. Here we have the first appearance of Flip Top, or Eddie. He drops a random item, but if you don't like the item and off-screen him, you can make him reappear to hopefully drop something else. Yes, energy tank. These floors slide away from the other direction. This ring enemy is a little closer than the last one, so his rings can hit you if you don't jump at the right time. Alright, now I arrive at Ringman, but damn, I don't have a lot of energy. Ringman is pretty darn quick and he hits like a truck. He does have a predictable pattern, so you just need to be quicker than him, which is easier said than done. Shit, I wasn't expecting to survive there. Let's try this again. This Mega Man game also introduces the Mega Buster, where you can charge your regular arm cannon for a bigger, stronger blast. I don't know if this was inspired from Heatman's atomic fire weapon from Mega Man 2, where you could charge that weapon as well. Alright, doing a little better this time. And I got him. I get his weapon, the Ring Boomerang. Actually, it's great that I'm getting this weapon so early. This is probably the strongest weapon in this game. It almost rivals the Metal Blade from Mega Man 2, no joke. Alright, so that takes us to our next roll. Eight for Dustman. Okay, pretty decent choice. Dustman is one of those levels that you can do anytime, either one of the first or amongst the last. I actually like the theme for this level. I think it's underrated, nobody really talks about it, but it's a catchy industrial level theme with a side of melancholy. Mega Man 4 has a pretty decent soundtrack, like its predecessors. You gotta watch out for these pit traps. Don't you just hate these? We have Eddie again. No, I want either an energy tank or at least a health capsule. Trying again. Again? Damn, Eddie, give me something useful. Not these dumb weapon capsules. Alright, just screw it then. Here is a dangerous area. These compressors, or whatever they are. The problem here is that you have to get rid of these junk particles. The lower ones are a problem. You have to be careful because they can make your character jerk in a weird way that can screw you over. You see right there? It's kind of a slightly glitchy mechanic. Shit, that was close. I like this gumball machine. Now at Dustman. He's pretty easy once you're familiar with his pattern. The trick is to jump in place when his projectile gets near you. He's easy enough with your regular arm cannon, but actually have his weakness weapon, the Ring Boomerang. And that's all for this boss. We get the Dust Crusher, an okay weapon, not great. I don't use it super often. You know, Negativio, with all these themed robot masters, I'm kind of inspired to become a super villain myself.
You're about as dangerous as a ball of cotton.
I'm being serious. You know how the Riddler always talks in riddles, or Two-Face always makes his decisions by flipping a coin? Well, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to the Dicer!
The dicer?
Deciding your fates by rolling dice.
I see the counseling cat is going to have a lot of work to do.
Alright, let's roll for our next level. A 6, and 6 takes us to Toadman, probably the most famously easy robot master in the series. We start off on a dam with pouring rain. The rain doesn't affect your movement, but it does affect your jump, getting less distance to the right, but more distance to the left, which doesn't help you much because you're heading right. A few enemies that aren't too hard to deal with. These jumps are the bigger issue. This is a cool level. Now we have this snail mini-boss. Again, cool sprite work. This second version is a bit more difficult with the water. If you're in the waterfall portion, you can only jump half as high, so keep that in mind throughout this level. This snail isn't too hard with a little practice. Here we have some jumping piranhas. There is one jump here that you have to be careful with. Just keep walking and let this piranha jump over you. Now we get to Toadman. No joke, when I first played this game as a kid, I went in completely blind, not knowing the robot masters. Toadman was the first robot I picked because, well, a Toadman doesn't sound very intimidating. And most players will come up with this strategy on their own, just keep firing and slide under him as he jumps. And that's it, that's all. We get the Rain Flush, a screen attack weapon that's actually pretty useful. We also get the Rush Marine, which is actually kinda lame because there are only a couple of sections in this entire game that you can use it. But anyway, let's roll again. A 4 takes us to Pharaoh Man. So this was the first time in a Mega Man game that we got a desert themed level. A cool level with a cool theme. A bit of a cluster here. This quicksand with this pellet dropping bee and these scorpions. There is a secret on the other side of the pit here. The balloon item. You also skip a small part of the level and restart at the checkpoint, which is a little further. There are some dangerous platform traps in this level. These platform things. When I was a kid, I used to think that these had the face of a puppy. The nose in the middle there. Do you see it? No? Anyway, you have to jump slightly sooner than what your instincts would tell you. When the next platform opens its eyes, they're about to fire a shot, so it's a good time to jump. I think this is what Mega Man 4 is most well known for, its many spikes and platforming traps. We'll see more as I play on here. Now I get to Pharaoh Man. He's a quick moving dude. You may want to slide under him as he jumps towards you, but these platforms don't make it easy. The best shot you have at him is when he stops to charge his Pharaoh shots. His weakness is the flash stopper, which we do not have. Not too difficult. Shit. Guess I'll use my energy tank there. Kinda wasted, but oh well, I got him. We get the Pharaoh shot, which is a pretty decent weapon. I don't use it super often, but some players do. Time for a next roll. Alright, a 3 takes us to Skullman. So his level is made of, well, bones. I see this as some type of archaeological excavation site. This stage does have an exceptionally catchy theme. It's nothing grandiose, but I like it. You can take these skeletons down with a charged shot. As a kid, I was actually using a turbo controller, so I didn't even realize for a while that you could charge your arm cannon. I was rapid firing, which didn't help me for this type of enemy because he gets back up if you don't hit him with a charged shot. This game also introduced these shield enemies, which return in a few of the later games. Eddie again. Sure, I'll take the health capsule. Damn, these shields come at you fast, right in your face. Shit. This level isn't very difficult, though you have to be careful here if you want to get that energy tank. This is probably the most difficult part of the level right here. You have to watch out for these skeleton enemies. You don't want them to knock you into the pit with a thrown bone. Now it's Skullman. He has a simple, predictable pattern. When the battle starts, he actually doesn't move unless you move or fire first. I have his weakness, the Dust Crusher. After he fires a few times, he jumps then puts up his skull barrier. Wait for it to go down, fire again, and be ready to jump over him. There we go. I get the skull barrier, which is probably one of the weaker shield weapons. Unlike Woodman's leaf shield, you can walk with it. It can protect you from taking a hit, but it doesn't have much punch. So Negativio, what do you think of the emergence of the world's new supervillain, the Dicer?
Well, Dylan, let me tactfully answer you this way. Nope, not a chance, nada, no way in hell, never, jamais, pas du tout, nunca, mai, no. Nope.
But what about...
Nope.
Oh, that cat's got no imagination.
Well, there's imagination, and then there's this, so nope.
Let's roll again. A 5. A 5 takes us to Brightman. Kind of an electrical plant level. Here there are enemies that darken the area, and others who light it up. It also has these friendly grasshoppers. Take those totems down quickly, you want to get onto the next grasshopper. Alright, here we have a chance to use that balloon we acquired in Pharaoh Man stage. Of course, I could just use the rush coil. Also, I should be using more of my weapons. I don't know why I don't think about that. The ring boomerang can usually shred through various enemies. There are some goodies down here. Not too difficult going right. It's a little more tricky when you have to come back to the left. Use your rush coil or balloons if you have them. This grasshopper part is a bit trickier, but don't panic and you should be fine. This last stretch of the level can be a bit tricky. Again, another one of those platform challenges that this game offers, where you're moving from obstacle to obstacle while being attacked by enemies, which can easily send you to the pit below. Now at Brightman. I kinda hate this boss fight. He has the flash stopper weapon that freezes you for a few seconds. You ideally want to be at an elevated angle where his shots can't get you, but that can be a bit difficult to foresee. It's even worse if he jumps and hits you directly. You take a shitload of damage, more than his shots. He's weak against the rain flush, so it's your screen attack against his time stopper. Alright, I'll stop it here for today, but join me in the next episode for the Dicer's return.
No, he won't. Not if I can help it.
Keep gaming, everyone. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Creative Gaming. In the last episode, I started a special Mega Man 4 Dice Challenge, where I rolled an 8-sided die to decide each of my levels. I don't return to levels once I beat them, and I was allowed one cheat or reroll, which I have not used. Alright, so I have 2 levels left, Dive Man and Drill Man, so I need a 2 or a 7. Come on, give me a 2 or a 7. Damn, just give me a 2 or a 7 already. Finally, a 2. So that takes me to Dive Man. As you'd expect, it's a water level. I always found the theme for this stage fascinating. Usually water level themes are either upbeat or kind of calm like elevator music, but this theme sounds a little more aggressive like a war naval base. It's a bit more threatening than your average water theme, so it's kinda cool. You can use the Rush Marine for whatever parts you want in this level. I don't know if it really makes the level much easier though. This whale mini-boss is pretty cool. Again, impressive sprite work for the Nintendo. Alright, an E-tank right off the bat. Thanks, Eddie. There is another secret item here, the wire. I'm not sure if this item was really necessary for them to create, kinda like the Rush Marine, where there are only a few specific areas in the game that it comes in handy. I have to redo a portion of this level. Now at Dive Man. He's another robot master who charges at you, and his physical body is more dangerous than his projectiles. His weakness is the skull barrier, though it is dangerous to use against him. If you're having trouble with the skull barrier, you can also use the dust crusher. He takes a decent amount of damage from that too, as well as your mega buster. Now I get the dive missile, which is a homing projectile that comes in handy for enemies that are at an awkward angle from you. Alright, so we have Drill Man left. No need to roll for this level. It's ironic, whenever I play this game, Drill Man is always the last robot master I fight anyway, just because of the order I play the game. If you start with Toad Man and know the sequence, Drill Man is at the end of that sequence. So it's a Rocky type level. Be careful if you want to get this one up. Oh, these enemies are annoying. I'll just use the rain flush here. See, I can use the wire here, but you can just use your rush coil or balloon. These rock shoots are a bit dangerous. A rock will come down at every couple of seconds intervals, but if you walk away a bit and come back, the rock will drop again right away. It gets a little more dangerous with these switches that make the ground appear. Now at Drill Man, another boss who's a bit annoying to fight. Oh, I don't have a lot of energy, so he'll probably do me in. He likes to go into the ground for a lot of the battle. Make sure you're moving after 2 or 3 seconds. Sometimes he'll walk towards you firing his drill bombs. You can't fire your weapons through those, so you have to fire your shots carefully. His weakness is the dive missiles. The fact that they home in on him really helps. And we got him. We get the drill bomb, which is a pretty cool weapon, and Rush Jet. It always made me laugh how Dr. Wily can come up with all of these complex robot masters and a multitude of robots in each levels, but Mega Man always has to repair Rush's flight capabilities in each game. So now we get to the Dr. Cossack levels. The level starts with the most devastating enemy in video game history.
The Creeper?
Don't say that name. Nope, it's the Slinky. The Slinky. I don't know what the thought process was here for this. I'll put a bunch of active Slinkies at the entrance to my level. That'll stop Mega Man. It's interesting that this game doesn't really have an ice themed level, so they put slippery platforms in this level. Come to think of it, I guess Mega Man 3 didn't have any ice levels either. Again, you have to be careful with the pits in this game. Dr. Cossack seems to be a Russian scientist. Another dangerous part here. This game sure likes its screwed up jumps over pits or spikes. Here you can use the rush coil or balloons. This part is a little screwy too. You usually have to fall from ladder to ladder, but you have to time things right with those enemies on the ladder. It's easier if you use the rush jet, but you still have to be careful of the timing of these enemies when they close in on the ladder. There is a cool looking boss here. Not difficult, though I forget what his weakness is. I'm thinking maybe the drill bombs? Not bad, but I think there's something better. Seems to be the ring boomerang. Half of the bosses in these final levels are weak against these things. Oh, should I waste an energy tank? Oh shit! Hello mid-level checkpoint! Damn, I forgot that I had to start all the way from here. So, a temporary setback, but nothing that can stop Dice Daddy!
Nope.
Oh, come on! A villain rolling dice to decide his enemy's fate? You don't see it?
Doesn't sound like a very quick or efficient villain. As bad as the horribly slow murderer with the extremely inefficient weapon.
But,
Dylan, you got your dice, you got your video games, you got your little show, don't push it.
my evil plan's foiled by a house cat. Why did I die at that boss anyway? He's not difficult. I just got caught a little off guard there, wondering what his weakness is. Anyway, we have to do this crap over again. This boss almost looks cute with its bow tie of doom. You can drill and destroy the floor, so you don't want this battle to drag on for too long. A lot of the bosses in these final levels are cool. Like I said, this boss isn't difficult. I was being a little nonchalant. Alright, I was a bit clumsy, but I got him. Here we are at level 2. Not too much to say about this level. You have to use the rush jet here. Ah yes, these things. You have to watch the timing of the arrows and the spikes switch sides. Just use the balloons here, much quicker. Here's the use for the wire. This item is kind of useless. The rush coil and balloons perform the same function. I think there's only one spot in this entire game that is specifically catered to the use of the wire. We'll see it a bit later. Shit, get in there. Damn it. This magical pixel spot that you can jump in. Now we get to the second boss. This is another pretty cool boss. This structure that passes you by, once it scrolls slowly, you want to get inside to cause damage to the eye of this machine. Pretty cool design. The eye is weak against a dust crusher. And we're done here. Cossack level 3. Here we get another theme, which is probably one of the most famous tracks from this game. It's exceptionally upbeat and catchy. This is also a first for the Mega Man Classic series, a scrolling level. I guess you could count the part in Mega Man 2 with the big dragon. You can't damage these platform scrolling enemies. These cannons are a bit shitty to fight. They only open for a brief second to fire, but the timing of their shot is slightly randomized, so it's difficult to shoot them at the right time. I could probably use the rain flush or some other weapon to get rid of them. Some more craziness here. These platforms slowly fall when you step on them and quickly go up when you jump. Oh crap! Once they hit the upper screen, they just disappear from beneath your feet, so be careful. This part you really have to be careful. You actually have to stay on the platform so it'll take you down. When I was a kid, I was confused at the placement of this energy tank, but you just use the balloon and slide to get it. Boss here. This boss is a bit more dangerous because of your limited space. Try to stay in the middle of whatever platform so that you don't fall off if you get hit by a projectile. The first robot stays on the ceiling and the second one circles the room. Ah damn, I don't know if the checkpoint is right before, but it's probably in the midpoint of the level, so I'm gonna be safe and use an energy tank. Alright, that's it for this boss. Now we get to the final level of the game. For the first time, the map shows a fork in the road. This is where the use of the wire is the most useful. Obviously, you could still use the coil or balloon. This direction is slightly easier than the other one, and I think there are more goodies. Now we get to Dr. Cossack. His machine reminds me of one of those claws that you have to guide to get those plushies you want. He can grab Mega Man as well. He is weak against the Dust Crusher. I think he actually takes damage from the wire too. I'm forgetting. Let me know in the comments if that's the case. So at the end of this battle, Proto Man delivers Cossack's daughter. And wouldn't you know it, Dr. Wily was behind the whole thing. At this point in the series, we weren't completely sure if Wily would return, because he seemed like he was crushed in the last game. But the old bastard is resilient. You know, Mega Man could just shoot him right here and be done with it. There would be no more sequels and no Mega Man X series. But no, you can't shoot evil mad scientist dictators trying to take over the world. So we once again go to Wily's Skull Castle. I call this the Hard Hat's Fetish level. These metal enemies are the only enemies in this entire level, and that includes the boss. A small water section here, but it's actually dangerous to use the Rush Marine because some spots, like here, are too narrow for you to pass. You'll blow up from touching the spikes. A little more dangerous here. If you have trouble timing your jumps well, then do use the Rush Marine. Ah, the disappearing blocks. What would a Mega Man game be without these? The boss, again, is a hard hat. He's weak against the ring boomerang. He's not too difficult, but you don't want to get hit by this big guy because he does cause a lot of damage. Wily Stage 2. Nine energy tanks, so I don't need this one. A few obstacles in this level, but nothing too over the top. If you're careful, you should be fine. Another boss that is cool sprite work for the 8-bit Nintendo. You can use your Mega Buster and fire from the left platform. He is weak against the ring boomerang, but you have to get on a closer platform. Maybe the ring reaches from the left platform too? I can't remember. Another one down. Now we get to the refight against the 8 Robot Masters. This shouldn't be too difficult if you remember the weakness of each of them. Bright Man. Oh, he's close. He does a lot of damage on physical contact. Oh, it's close. Damn it, he's about to kill me. Alright, might as well use an energy tank. I have 9. Skullman. Dive Man. There is a fan-made game called Mega Man Maker where people can design their own Mega Man levels, which is pretty cool. It's interesting because they've added certain things to some weapons. You can actually walk on spikes with the skull barrier activated in that game, but not in this game obviously. Toadman, he's weak against the drill bomb. Seems like overkill, doesn't it? A big drill bomb against a Toadman. Pharaoh Man, weak against the Flash Stopper. Ringman, weak against the Pharaoh Shot. And finally Dustman. We're gonna make him bite the dust. Now we get to Wily's Skull Machine. Looks intimidating at first, but hilariously, if you get close to him, he can't even damage you with his projectiles. So this first part is easy, but the second part is more challenging. The weakness is the eye just below Wily. You can charge up your Mega Buster, but you have to release it when Mega Man is at the peak of his jump, which is a little bit difficult to time. There is an easier way. When you fire a drill bomb, if you press the fire button again, it actually detonates the drill. So shoot a drill bomb and press the shoot button again before it arrives at the eye. It takes great damage from the explosion. Once again, Wily escapes, and for the third time we have a fake out, an extra level, but it's a short stretch to Wily. The final boss, Wily, is weak against the Pharaoh Shot. It's a dark room, but after a projectile flies towards you, there is a quick flash that reveals his location. If you're in position to hit him, release the Pharaoh Shot. With a little patience, you'll get him. So Wily begs for his life once again, but Mega Man seems to be slow to act, and Wily just escapes through a rotating door. You see, Mega Man, you could avoid a lot of shit if you just paid more attention. So again, Wily escapes, and of course the castle explodes in the cute pink skeleton mushroom cloud of death, and Mega Man rides the train home. Alright, so I have another victory under my belt. Mega Man 4 is a great entry in the series. It gave us the charging Mega Buster, which has a mixed opinion within gamers. It's usually more convenient to charge your Mega Buster as opposed to going to the menu screen to change your weapon. This does become a problem in a couple of the following entries, where the Mega Buster makes the special weapons almost trivial. I've also heard some people say that this game was one of the more difficult entry in the series. I'm not sure if I agree with that. I think the first Mega Man game is still more difficult. This game does have a few screwy jumps and is known for its many spikes. It's probably more difficult than Mega Man 2 and 3, but if you can beat 2 and 3, there's no real reason why you couldn't beat 4. The overall soundtrack is great once again. Not as good as 2, but not disappointing by a long shot. So that's it. I'll be moving on to another game next episode, but give this challenge a try. Give me a like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll be back soon.
Without some idiotic dice throwing villains.
Keep gaming, everyone. Greeting, mortals. I am the Dicer, or Dice Daddy, whatever. I will decide all your fates by rolling my dice. If I roll a 1, you will all die.
Roll the credits, roll the credits!
Hello everybody, and welcome to the first episode of Creative Gaming. This is a show where we'll inject a bit of RNG into our playthroughs, either for challenge purposes or just a new way to play the game. Today we're going to start with a classic, Mega Man X. Mega Man. I've always been a fan of the classic series as well as the X series. I played the very first Mega Man when I was about 9 years old. It probably kicked my ass, but I played each entry in the series as they were released to us in North America. I was a teenager when Mega Man X came out, a Mega Man game for the Super Nintendo? That has to be good, how could that fail? So I played the game, loved it, eventually beat it, and I remained a longtime fan of the series. So today I'm gonna challenge myself. I have my trusty dice here, and you can probably try this challenge as well. I'm gonna use an 8-sided die. Maybe you don't have an 8-sided die, but you can always go online and find some RNG sites. So here are the rules for this playthrough. The roll of the die determines which Maverick I will tackle, so 1 would be Launch Octopus, 2 would be Chill Penguin, so on and so forth. Very simple. If I roll the die on a level I've already beaten, then I have the choice of going back to that level if I want, whether to collect heart tanks or whatever. If I don't want to go back, I can roll again. So I can't go to levels, whether they're beaten or not, in any order that I want. It's all decided by the result of the die. Once there's 1 Maverick left, I don't have to roll the die to get to that level. However, I can roll the die one last time before or after that last Maverick level for one final revisit to a level. After that, it's on to the Sigma stages. Finally, I will allow myself 1 cheat or reroll. It's like a lifeline in Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, if anybody remembers that show. If I feel like I'm stuck or can't pass a stage, I can access this cheat code to roll to another level. Maybe I won't have to resort to this cheat, but it's there if things get rough. I'm gonna put on a death counter as well. No special reasons, just to keep track. So this playthrough could be interesting because I could be going to the Sigma stages without all the heart tanks or special body parts. It all depends on how lucky I get with the rolls of the die. Ready? Alright, here we go. Yeah, listen to that banging intro, so cool. So we have an intro stage to beat first. The first roll of the die will happen once we get to the stage select screen. And yes, this is the Switch version, and no, I do not have Hunter's mode on. When Capcom wanted to bring the Blue Bomber into the 16-bit era, they went all out. This intro stage is a great start to the series. The platforming is simple, though Mega Man X can't do much yet. He can't slide, he can't run or dash. He can just walk through, shoot, and charge his X-Buster. A few enemies in this stage, nothing hard to deal with. This giant bee is like a mini-boss, but it's pretty easy. Zero. An iconic character of the franchise makes his debut here. Supposedly he was supposed to be the main character in this game, but I guess Keiji Inafune felt his design was too different from Mega Man and might put off some players, so they revamped Mega Man instead. It's strange that they actually killed Zero in this game, and it seems pretty final. Of course, they bring him back in the sequels, but I wonder why they decided to kill him off here if he was originally designed to be the main character. Anyway, with our intro stage completed, we're on to the 8 Maverick stages. So, before I roll the die, I should take out the quit button. The most feared button on the internet, every gamer's worst nightmare, the dreaded rage quit button, the most humiliating button to press on all the internet. Luckily, I've never had to press this button.
He's lying.
For those of you who are familiar with this game, you normally want to start with the Chill Penguin stage, so that's number 2 on our rolls here. You get the mandatory dash boots, which is essential for the X series, and makes this game much easier. Am I lucky enough to get a 2 on my first roll? We're about to find out, so here we go. Okay, I rolled a 5, so that's the Storm Eagle stage. Okay, so this isn't a bad stage to start on. The Mega Man games have really good soundtracks, and this one is no exception. And the theme for this stage in particular is popular as well. Oh, this part is a little awkward, but nothing too difficult. Uh-oh. Okay, we got an energy tank early on. Those are always good to have. So, the helmet is located here. It's kind of a dumb piece of equipment. Allows your head to smash certain blocks like Super Mario. I don't think I can get this yet though. I'll need the dash boots. Alright, still going through the level. Nothing too remarkable or difficult. So here I am at the boss, Storm Eagle. He's actually pretty easy, even if you don't have the dash boots. You want to stay near the middle of this plane as much as possible, so that his attacks don't push you off. But otherwise he's cake. I really like his weapon too, the Storm Tornado. This weapon wrecks shit up. Some people love the weapon, some people don't. I love it though. And with that, our first Maverick is defeated. Alright, so that brings us to our second roll. Let's see who we're dealing with next. Okay, an 8. That takes us to the Sting Chameleon stage. Okay, so this will be more challenging than the last level. I haven't played the Mega Man X games in a couple of years or so I'm probably a little rusty. There's a heart container here, but of course I can't get it. There's an armor upgrade up there as well, but I can't get that either. These falling blocks are hard to avoid, especially if you can't dash. We're gonna have to muscle through this shit. Oh, look at this enemy. Some woodpecker just poking at a metal tree and releases this warm enemy when you get nearby. Aren't you glad they wasted materials and precious AI for this dumb enemy? Alright, the right armor. It makes its first appearance in this game. X doesn't take damage in it, and we can even dash. Alright, let's wreck some shit. Here we are at Sting Chameleon. No dash, no special weapon, at least not his weakness one. Oh god, the damage. Alright, let's try this again. Apparently his tongue does more damage than spikes or a bomb. Damn. Oh crap. Can the Storm Tornado help me? Nah, this weapon isn't really helpful in this fight. And robot death by tongue. F you. F you. F you. Stop that. Shit, don't tell me I'm stuck already. I can't hit the rage quit button this early. I still have a cheat I can use, but do I want to use it this soon? Phew, I got you, asswipe. Well, that shot my anxiety up. Phew, at least I got him without having to use my cheat. Even if I get a game over, that doesn't free me from this level. I would have to do it again. Okay, time for the next roll. Hopefully we can get that too sometime soon. A 7. That takes us to Spark Mandrill's level. Ugh, this is gonna be another struggle. This darkness thing is a bit annoying, but you have to watch your footing. This is another stage with cool music though. Oh gosh, this thing, and without my dash too. Oh shit, I'm way back at the beginning? Damn, I forgot how cheap this game is with its checkpoints. Okay, so here we try again. Oh damn it. This damn thing constantly dropping on my head. Ah shit, I'll have to do this whole level all over again. Should I use my energy tank? I have weapons too, why am I not using them? Phew, that did the trick. There's a heart tank there, but of course I can't get it. Can I? No, you can't. Alright, we're at Spark Mandrill. No ice weapon, no dash boots. We can't take advantage of the Spark Mandrill syndrome. Okay, let's try this again. Oh shit, that's a lot of damage. And we got a game over. So, I'm supposed to play this level again. Damn it. Here are my choices. I can suffer through this long level again. I can use my one-time cheat to roll a die and get another level. Or I could hit the quit button.
But why hit the quit button if you haven't used your cheat?
Very true, although on a reroll I could end up with a worse level, like Armored Armadillo or something. Oh man, I'm scared. I'll be the laughingstock of the internet if I have to quit this early. Alright, I'm gonna use my cheat and see what happens. Okay, if I happen to roll Spark Mandrill again, I can reroll. I am legitimately allowed another result. Here we go. Oh, hallelujah! We rolled a 2!
Wow, I can't believe it.
Now we can go to Chill Penguin stage and get those juicy dash boots. This should give me a fighting chance. That was lucky, especially on my cheat roll. And yes, all my rolls are legit, by the way.
He's right, folks. Dylan takes his RNG very seriously.
Phew, I was worried I'd have to quit this playthrough before half the game. I couldn't allow that for a Mega Man veteran such as myself. This section is a little annoying, like the original Donkey Kong, just going left and right and climbing and things rolled towards you. Phew, this is quite a jump. I just keep missing it and the enemies just respawn. Come on, I want my friggin' dash boots. Alright, here we go. This is what Mega Man X is known for, the dash function, and climbing walls of course. Alright, Chill Penguin. He's actually a pretty easy boss, though sometimes new players might struggle a bit. But when you get his pattern down, he's not too difficult. It's interesting how it's impossible to ever fight this boss without the dash boots. You will always have these boots when you fight this boss. By the way, did you know that if you dash and fire a shot, it does 2 points of damage, the same as your charged X-Buster? A lot of players familiar with this game use this to their advantage. And Chill Penguin goes down, onto the next stage. Okay, so we rolled a 7 again. This means I have to return to the Spark Mandrill stage. We are in much better shape to fight him now though. Not only do we have the dash boots, we have his weakness weapon as well, the shotgun ice. This bubble mini-boss is much easier with the dash too. We can also get this heart tank as well. A little difficult to pull off, but possible. Okay, so Spark Mandrill round 2. With this boss, gamers have invented the term Spark Mandrill syndrome. You see, in past Mega Man games, whenever you used the weakness weapon against the boss, it would hurt him more than usual, but it wouldn't affect his pattern at all. Like, they would have no reaction to it. This game introduced a stagger effect, or special reactions when hit with certain weapons. In this example, Spark Mandrill is pretty much a sitting duck. If you time your shots right, you can just freeze him over and over. Having these reactions can make some bosses easier and more redundant to fight, but at the same time I like when a boss or enemy has a particular reaction to some weapon. And just like that, Spark Mandrill goes down. Definitely much easier this time around. Alright, time to roll again. Okay, a 6. A 6 brings us to Boomer Quanger. This is one of those more vertical levels, so the challenge comes from climbing and making your way up. Everybody seems to love the music of this stage. I think it's okay, not really my favorite, but it's kind of a cool, goofy technology type of level. Ah, this part. You have to watch the spikes, and these enemies keep hitting you in the head. Ouch. 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 We have a heart tank here, but oh damn, I don't think we'll be able to get it. You need to either use the boomerang cutter, which is obtained from the boss in this level, or you can charge this shotgun ice to create a platform that slides along the ground and gives you leverage to jump to the side. But you need the X-Buster special part that allows you to charge the special weapons. Here we are at Boomer Quanger. So I don't have the special weapon to take him down yet. He shouldn't be too difficult. He's more annoying than challenging. Okay, stop disappearing, you friggin' moron. Ugh, stop that. And there we go, he's dead meat. Okay, so this playthrough is going well so far. The idea of quitting actually crept into my head a couple of times, but things are looking up. Join me in the next episode where I continue my playthrough. Do I have what it takes to beat the game, possibly without all of the special items? Keep gaming everyone, and see you in the next episode. Welcome back to Creative Gaming. In the last episode, I started a special challenge run of Mega Man X. Before I continue, let me refresh your memory of the rules that I'm abiding by, and feel free to try this challenge yourself if you want. So the roll of the 8-sided die decides which level I go to next. If I roll the die to a Maverick who has already been defeated, I have the choice of revisiting his level or skipping and rolling the die again. Maverick beaten or not, I can only visit stages that I roll with the die. Once I'm down to the last Maverick, I don't roll to go to that stage. I am allowed one last roll for stage revisit, before or after the last Maverick has been defeated. Then it's on to the Sigma stages, regardless of how many items I've collected. I was allowed one reroll or cheat, which I've already used to roll to another level in the last episode, so I have no more cheats now, it's do or die. Alright, let's continue. Let's see what our next roll is gonna be. So that takes us to Armored Armadillo, a boss who's fairly difficult to take down with your regular weapon. Luckily we have his weakness, which is the electric spark. So this is a fun fast-paced level, jumping on these very unsafe minecarts. Oh shit! Phew, my heart skipped a few beats right there. Can we take this thing down in time? Oh, okay, right before the spikes. Alright, another energy tank. These are extremely important, especially in a challenge run like this. Oh crap, I jumped too early. Holy shit, I'm at the beginning? Damn, that's like 30 screens I have to do over again. Alright, let's not get in the hole this time. Alright, I have to take this thing down very quickly, otherwise I won't be able to get the heart tank in this stage. Alright, here we go. Ah yes, the legendary Hadouken weapon, which we'll probably never get in this playthrough. Armored Armadillo. He has full body armor that can tank most of your shots, which makes him quite difficult if you don't have the electric spark weapon. This special weapon knocks his armor off. So this is one of the cool Maverick reactions to a weapon. I am glad I didn't get this boss early on. Alright, another one down. Time for another roll. Okay, so I rolled a 3 again. Since the Maverick is defeated, I have the choice to revisit the stage if I want, or just skip and roll again. And since I got all the collectibles in this stage, except for the Hadouken, 4. Okay, that takes us to the Flame Mammoth stage. This was another innovation of Mega Man X, changing stages. This stage usually has a lot of hot lava and flame, but it's frozen if you beat Chill Penguin stage first. Ah, this part. The X-Buster upgrade is up that ceiling to the left, but I don't think I can get it because I believe you need the helmet upgrade to break the blocks with your head. But just making it to this wall is pretty tough. You have to dash jump at the very last pixel, and you barely cling on to this block. I actually didn't know this secret as a kid. I always got the X-Buster upgrade in the first Sigma stage. You get it from 0 if you don't have it. Can't get up there. Oh, screw it. Yay, another heart tank. And another energy tank. This playthrough is actually going pretty well. And we're at the big guy himself. We have the Storm Tornado, so he should be a piece of cake. And he's down for the count. Alright, so we only have one Maverick left, and as per my rules, I don't roll for the last Maverick. I can roll the die one time for a stage revisit and that's it, either before or after beating the last Maverick. So I'm gonna do that now. Okay, 6 is a revisit to Boomer Kuwanger stage. I can choose to go or not, but I will go. There is a heart tank that we can get now. Like a champ. Alright, another heart tank. So if you're wondering why we don't have to roll for the last stage, it's simply because we could roll a dozen times before we even get it. So we could collect most of the upgrades in the game, but part of the challenge is to make it through the Sigma stages with limited items. So that's why I allow myself one roll for a revisit and that's it. And with that, on to the last Maverick. Alright, so this is a water level. I always thought this music was a little odd. Not bad, just odd for a water level. So this submarine isn't too much of a problem. This submarine is a little tougher, having a couple of pits of spikes and the ability to push you off. Yikes! Take this ship down. Take out this serpent enemy. And we have another heart tank. Take down this serpent again. And we're on to launch Octopus. Here is another example of cool alterations to boss fights. If you use the boomerang cutter, you can actually cut off his tentacles. I didn't know this as a kid either. It doesn't really make him any less dangerous though. He can't do his swirling attack anymore, the one that can drain your energy. But he just fires his torpedoes constantly. The rolling shield is his weakness. But it's interesting that one weapon cuts his tentacles, while another does big damage. Shit. Phew, it was either him or me right there. And with that, we're ready for the Sigma stages. So just as a little recap, I could only go to the stages that I rolled with a die. So I'm entering the Sigma stages with 5 heart tanks, 3 energy tanks, and the dash boots upgrade only. Though I will get the X-Buster upgrade in the coming stages. I'm getting nervous, here we go. I've always hated this part right here. You have these moving platforms that go left and right, and these blader type enemies that constantly swoop in. But what makes this part difficult is the background. It's a parallax background that moves at a slower speed than the stage itself. It's very disorienting. Ah shit. Let's try this again. Okay, phew, that's over with. Here is Zero's sacrifice, the first of many. We finally fight Vile without his machine. He's not too difficult. I'm so sorry, Zero, but I really need your big gun. Like a champ. Here's some more vertical bullshit. But if you're having trouble, you have several special weapons you can use to get through. Boomer Quanger, easy peasy. Alright, boss time. Oh wow, it's Web Spider from Mega Man X4. So this boss isn't too difficult, but it is a bit annoying because you have to pay attention to his trajectory. Oh shit, that's cutting it close. Nah, I won't risk it. And he's down. So the second Sigma stage. It's a decent stage, though I don't have too much to say about it. I do like the rematches with Chill Penguin and Storm Eagle. So Penguin is weak against fire, though it's a short range weapon, so you have to get close to him unless you charge it up. Some more right armor action. Storm Eagle Part 2. He's weak against the Chameleon Sting, making this battle even easier than normal. Okay, so the stage boss is called Rangda Bangda. It's a pretty unique boss, until they bring it back in Mega Man X5. You get attacked by eyes of different colors and different patterns, and the wall closes in on you to fight this nose shit thing. You have to be careful because if you kill this nose thing, the walls stay in the position and you'll have to fight the other eyeballs this way. So stage 3 is basically an arena to fight the remaining Mavericks. Grinding for energy, grinding for energy. Alright, our rematch with Sting Chameleon. It gave me a lot of trouble last time, so I'm gonna tear his shit up this time. Spark Mandrill, although I didn't time my stun lock right this time. but we still easily get him. Oh shit, am I gonna get curb stomped? The boss of this stage is this vehicle thing. He's actually a test of your dashing abilities. If you haven't gotten used to the dash by now, you might find yourself struggling against this boss. He moves faster as his energy goes down, but it's a quick and fun fight. And with that, we're on to the last stage of the game. Now, this final battle is probably what I was dreading most in this entire playthrough. First you fight Sigma's dog, which isn't too bad. The first battle with Sigma seems intimidating at first, but then you realize that there's a very simple way of beating him. Even as a kid, I was climbing the wall like a pussy because I didn't know what he was gonna do, but then you realize that he does this. And you can just lure him up and down constantly. Most people discover this strategy on their own. And no, I don't care if I'm cheesing this fight. The last fight is hard enough. Okay, so this is the big one. Remember that I have 3 energy tanks and I don't have the armor upgrade. Plus this thing hits like a truck. Well, that didn't last long. And yeah, you have to refight the dog in Sigma's first form every single time. Okay, so here we try again. Ah man, that's so much damage. The best strategy for this boss is to let the claws come down to you, then you can jump on. But it's difficult because they shoot lightning. If you hit the platform 1 pixel underneath, you get hit for big damage, and you have to avoid all the other projectiles that the head fires at the same time. It's a pretty anxiety-ridden battle. Oh my god, it's going well. Am I gonna do it? Am I gonna do it? Is there actually hope?
Dylan, did you hit the rage quit button? But you were so close, baby.
Yes, I was tired of filling my tanks and grinding for more energy. Alright, so technically I failed this challenge. I probably should have played this game in 2 sittings instead of 1. But having said that, I do think Mega Man X is a great game with perfectly balanced difficulty. Obviously the Sigma stages were balanced in mind with the player having found all of the heart tanks, energy tanks, and body parts upgrades. I think I actually did pretty well considering, but man, that final boss is a killer. When you have all of your items, it's not too difficult. I may use an energy tank or 2, but without your armor upgrade you die in like 3 or 4 hits. So I just didn't make it this time around. I was hoping to muscle in a quick victory, but no such luck. But let me know in the comments if you plan to try this roll the die challenge. Set up rules for yourself that you can follow, and share your experience. As for myself, I will move on to another game next episode, but let me know if you'd like to see me attempt this challenge again. Different rolls of the die might provide a different experience. Or should I try this challenge with any other Mega Man X games? Let me know.
Dylan, you should try this challenge for Mega Man X7.
Well, that's about all the time we have for today, so until next time everybody, keep gaming. Hello everybody, and welcome to Creative Gaming. This is a show where I inject a bit of RNG into my playthroughs, either for challenge purposes or just a new way to play the game. Well, it's already been a year since I released my first episode in Negativo. Time really flies. I started this show with the Mega Man X Dice Challenge.
Your first game challenge and you failed it.
You gotta keep rubbing salt into that wound, do you? But I do think it's time I try that challenge with its sequel, Mega Man X2. I vaguely remember when this game came out. I was a teenager. We all thought Mega Man X meant Mega Man 10, so we thought the sequel would be called Mega Man 11, but nope. Mega Man X2 is what we got. X was the name of the character, not the Roman numeral for the title. So here are the rules for this playthrough, and you're welcome to try this challenge yourself if you dare. Once I get past the intro level, I will roll an 8-sided die which will decide level by level my progression throughout the game. So I can never pick my own levels, whether they're beaten or not, it's always decided by the die. So 1 will be Wire Sponge this stage, 2 will be Morph Moth, and so on and so forth, in the order that you see here. If I roll to a level I've already completed, then I do have the choice to return to that level to possibly acquire items or upgrades I couldn't before. If I don't want to go back, I can just roll again. A game over does not allow me to pick another level. When I roll, I do have to beat the level in question and beat its maverick to move on. However, I will allow myself one cheat or reroll. If I'm having too much trouble, I can use this cheat just once to roll to an alternate level. Finally, once there is only one maverick left, I don't roll to get to that last level. However, once all of the mavericks are beaten, I am allowed one final roll of the die for a stage revisit, and that's it, then it's on to the final stages. Given the nature of this challenge run, I could most likely get to the end of the game without all of the special items or upgrades. It all depends on how lucky I get with the die. So hopefully that all makes sense, so here we go. I am playing the Legacy Collection on Switch, and no, I do not have Hunter's mode on. I am playing the game's original difficulty. So the presentation for Mega Man X2 is every bit as good as its predecessor. The Mega Man franchise was treading new ground. This wasn't the Dr. Wily era anymore. This was 100 years into the future in a new world. This first level is pretty easy, but its purpose is really to get you used to the controls again. You get the dash right off the bat, which you had to acquire in the first game, but now Mega Man X automatically has it. It's the only upgrade that carried over from the first game. Now I arrive at the boss. They always try to have an impressively big boss to start the game off. Looks impressive, but is usually easy since they take more damage than the other bosses in the game. Here we have a cutscene with 3 mysterious figures. They factor in the game in an interesting way that I'll explain a bit later. Now we get to the stage select screen. It's now time to roll for our first level. Are you ready for the first roll of the season, Negativo?
Let's do it.
Here we go. A 4. So the stage I'm gonna start with is Magna Centipede's level. Yuck. Probably not the first stage I would pick in an ordinary playthrough, but here we go. So Magna Centipede's level is a pretty key level in this game. It's a computer technology type stage that seems to be the rendezvous point for the 3 X Hunters, villains working on some secret project and assassins for Mega Man X. If you can avoid these spotlights, it actually prevents some craziness in the level to happen, and it's important so you can pick up special items in the stage. Like here, for example, this block falls if you activate the security system, but you can climb it if you don't. Alright, we already get a health upgrade. Watch out for these blocks here. Nothing too difficult, but you don't want to be in a position where they crush you. One thing that's different from the first game is that these stages don't change. Remember in Mega Man X how certain stages would change if you beat other stages? Like Flame Mammoth's stage being frozen if you beat Chill Penguin first. Well, this game doesn't have that. These stages don't change at all. But there is another gimmick that is introduced, which I'll get to later. This game also uses a special chip called the CX4 chip. It allows for a kind of 3D visual effect with some lines, like this sword here. There are other visual effects in this game that this chip enhances. Whoops, I forgot about these spotlights. Oh damn, I've activated a bunch of them in a row. That can't be good. And now I'm being scanned, which isn't good because it enhances the abilities of a robot I have to face in this level. Ooh, I'm getting pummeled here. Alright, if you get scanned, this robot gains new abilities, which obviously isn't good for us. Ah shit, I was close to getting him too. I've also added a death counter. Not that it matters for this game, but in the future I might put a maximum death counter in certain game challenges. Alright, being more careful with these spotlights now. Whoops, I still got caught by one. It's probably been 3 or 4 years since I last played this game, so there are probably little things I forget here and there. That door there leads to the special boss when he is present in this level. The 3X Hunters I previously mentioned eventually come after you. Alright, so now we try this robot again. He doesn't have any upgrades. Alright, there we go. This level is pretty unique, with a security system that I don't think we had really seen in a Mega Man game before this. Now I get to Magna Centipede. He's a bit of an annoyance, not too difficult at first, but he eventually drags you towards him and removes some of your abilities, like charging the X-Buster, dashing, and even your jump gets limited. Ah damn, he caught me. I forgot how to avoid his grabs. Shit, he got me again. And a third time. Damn, my abilities are pretty limited now. And I'm friggin' dead. Hopefully I can beat him, otherwise I'll have to use my cheat very early. Okay, if you dash or walk in the other direction, it usually gives you some hang time to avoid getting grabbed. Okay, I got him. There are harder bosses, but he is pretty annoying. So I get my first weapon, the Magnet Mine. It's a weapon that you can control remotely a bit. It's time for us to roll to another level. A 7. That takes us to Wheel Gator. Okay, so this isn't a bad early level. You seem to be in a giant Godzilla-type robot trampling over the city. Challenge-wise, this level is pretty ordinary. Up there is a pretty significant secret. I believe you get the X-Buster upgrade, which enhances it and allows you to charge your special weapons. Damn, that's a crazy jump. Normally, you need the special boots upgrade that allows you to dash while in the air, or if you have Wire Sponge's hook weapon, you can pull yourself to that wall. I don't know if it's possible without either of these items. I'll give it my best shot. Damn, how close was that? Damn. 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 I don't think I'm gonna make it. It's a shame because I don't know if I'll ever roll to this level again. Alright, screw it. I have no choice. Alright, a ride armor. They return in this game and all of the sequels. There's a dangerously placed heart up there. Again, you need special means to reach it, like charging up the flame weapon that allows you to do a super dash. But damn, I want this heart right now. Let's see if I can get it. If I can get hit by this enemy's shots, I might be able to take advantage of the invincibility frames long enough to scale that spiked wall. Shit, I wasn't fast enough. Oh, that was close. Alright, there we go. Again, I don't know if I'll ever roll the die to this level again, so I want to get as many items as possible. Continuing up this elevator takes you to the special boss room, when one is stationed there. There are a few hidden health capsules here, but I don't have any energy tanks yet. Alright, now I get to Wheel Gator. This is another boss that I put in the more annoying than difficult category. He spends a lot of time hiding in that mud or whatever it is, and you waste a lot of time just avoiding its spinning wheels. Thank God this challenge isn't a time attack because you can't beat this boss very quickly. Normally if you die, it's not because you find him too difficult, but it's because you're running out of patience. He's even worse if you use his weakness weapon, the strike chain. If you hit him with that, he pretty much goes back into the mud every time, but otherwise he's not that difficult. I get his weapon, the spin wheel, which is actually a great weapon to have early on. This weapon can destroy certain walls or blocks, allowing you to access special items or new locations in certain levels. Here is a new gimmick introduced into this game. After you beat 2 of the Mavericks, these 3 X-Hunters decide to come after you. They hold pieces of Zero, your friend from the first game who had to sacrifice himself. If you can track down and beat all 3 of the X-Hunters, you can get Zero's parts back and avoid a boss fight towards the end of this game. These 3 X-Hunters appear on the map at random levels that you haven't completed yet. and you have to find a special door hidden in each level to find them. So it's a pretty interesting gimmick that gives a unique spin to this game. You can ignore them if you prefer, but I'll try to beat them if I can. It's time to roll for my next level. I roll a 7 again, so I have the choice to return to Wheel Gator's level or roll again. And at this point, I can't get any new items in the level, so I'm just going to roll again. Okay, an 8. So that takes us to Crystal Snail. None of the X-Hunters are in this level right now. We're in the Crystal Cave area with catchy, more relaxing music. There's a secret down here, but probably nothing I can get yet. Whoops, I guess I tried to jump too late. Ooh, yeah, that's too wide of a jump. I can't make it. I would need the strike chain. Okay, I'm on my last life. I think I'll just fall into the pit and get a game over and have my 3 lives again. As I said, a game over doesn't allow me to change levels. Oh wow, now we have one of the X-Hunters come to the level, so I might have 2 bosses to deal with. The X-Hunter door is up this way, need the right armor to get there. Some of the crystal walls in this stage you can't climb. Here we face Surges, or Surges? By the way, don't touch that cape, it actually damages you. Surges probably has the most bizarre strategy out of the 3 X-Hunters. There's a little force field on his platform, so your weapon doesn't always hit him. It seems to work better if you dash shoot, or shoot slightly elevated, but there are times that you might get frustrated because you can't get your shots to connect. Okay, I got him. I got one of Zero's parts. Oh, okay. Thanks for putting spikes there, jerks. So I'm way back at the beginning of the level, but the X-Hunter is still beaten and I still have Zero's part. So now I can just do the level normally. This mini-boss isn't too difficult. It's best to keep moving. Now I find my first Dr. Light capsule. This special helmet allows X to spot nearby secrets. It's pretty useless to me since I know all the secrets in this game, but Mega Man still looks cool in it. Now I get to Crystal Snail. I do have his weakness weapon, the Magnet Mine. If you time it right, you can kind of play soccer with a shell while he keeps chasing it. Okay, I'm not quite pulling it off here. Whoops, I guess I wasn't paying attention to my health there.
I'm sure you weren't.
Alright, let's try this again. Ah, now I gotcha. I get his weapon, the Crystal Hunter. Not the best weapon for attack, but it can turn certain enemies into blocks of crystal, which is pretty useful in a few spots. Time for our next roll. 6. 6 takes us to Bubble Crab. Another stage with catchy calm music. Here's an example of the use of the spin wheel. This stage isn't very difficult, the only real challenge is this submarine enemy. You have to blast its different parts before it goes down. I believe there is a secret item towards this way, although this is a pretty wide jump. But I made it. If you have the arms part upgrade and the bubble weapon that you obtained from this stage, you can actually supercharge that bubble weapon to get a type of force field, and it makes you jump higher in water. It is necessary to obtain another item in this level. Up this way is the secret area for the X-Hunter. I didn't notice if an X-Hunter is waiting for me in this level. Yes, there is. Here I face Agile. Probably the easiest of the X-Hunters, even though he has incredible speed. I also have his weakness weapon, the Magnet Mine. You want to avoid being on the ground for too long. And now I obtained the second piece of Zero. And now on to Bubble Crab. Not too difficult if you have his weakness weapon, which I do have, the spin wheel. He's more difficult with your X-Buster. Any bosses that can put up some type of shield is either more difficult for it, or more time consuming to fight. Luckily, the spin wheel weapon rips through that shit. It's a bit tricky to use since it goes in one direction, and Bubble Crab often heads in your direction. So you want to lure him towards the spin wheel for him to take extra damage. And he's toasted lobster. So we get the intimidating weapon, the Bubble Splash. It's an okay weapon, not great but not terrible. Alright, I think I'll stop it here for today, but join me in the next episode as I continue this challenge. Will I be able to beat this game, possibly without all of the special items? Keep gaming, everyone. Welcome back to Creative Gaming. In the last episode, I started a dice challenge for Mega Man X2. I'm rolling an 8-sided die which decides my levels. If I roll to a level I've already completed, I do have the choice to return to that level or just roll again. A game over does not allow me to change levels. However, I am allowing myself one cheat or reroll if things get too tough. When there's one Maverick left, I don't roll for that last Maverick. I am allowed one final roll after all the Mavericks are defeated for a stage revisit, and that's it. After that, it's on to the final levels. I first rolled a 4 for Magna Centipede stage, then I rolled Wheel Gator, then Crystal Snail, and finally Bubble Crab. So 4 down, 4 more to go. Let's roll. Four. I roll a 4 again. 4 is the Magna Centipede level. I do have the choice of going back there or not, but I think it's pointless for me to go back. I can't get any new items, so I'm just gonna roll again. Five. Okay, a 5. 5 takes me to Overdrive Ostrich. So this is a pretty fun level. Again, there's a secret here, but I didn't notice which levels the X-Hunters went to. Okay, so he's not here. Let's proceed. So this jet bike thing is pretty fun, although you don't want to slam into any walls, because if you can make it to the end, you can get a heart tank. Oh damn, I got that much height on that thing? I didn't have much further to go. This is a big problem. The checkpoint is right here, so if I die, I can't try again. You need the jet bike to get that heart up there. Though there is another important item I can get right now. Here I get the Dash Boots upgrade. With this, you can dash from the air, which is really useful. I wonder if I can get the heart tank with this. Nope. Damn it. If I want that heart, I'll have to get a game over and start the level over again. I really want that heart because I don't know how many more I can get in this challenge run. The boss is through that door, but if I beat the boss, I'll have to change stages, and I might never roll to this level again. Alright, all those extra lives down the drain. Oh damn, now the X-Hunter has appeared in this level. I just can't catch a break. So this one is Violin, probably the most difficult of the X-Hunters. Him and Surges are difficult for different reasons. Violin has a giant spike ball that hits for a lot of damage. There are 2 or 3 different patterns to it. It's pretty darn fast and you need quick reactions to get out of its trajectory. His weakness is the Bubble Splash, but you have to get close to him to use it. So it's up to you if you want to use your regular X-Buster or the Bubble Splash. Ah shit, you got me. Trying again here. Alright, I got you now. So I have managed to get all of Zero's parts. When you get all these parts, you can actually skip a boss fight towards the end. In a way, it's a shame because Zero is actually pretty fun to fight, but this is a challenge run, so I do have to stack the deck in my favor. Though Zero is probably easier than the combination of these 3 X-Hunters. Trying again to get that heart here. Ah damn, why the hell did I crash there? Luckily I'm before the checkpoint so I can try again. Oh, why did it crash here now? And now I crash at the exact same spot as I did before. I don't remember this being so difficult to pull off. I'm gonna try again. Phew, this is starting to waste a lot of my time. At least we have the X-Hunters out of the way. Again! Okay, I got it now. You have to start turning around as soon as you hit the spikes, but good luck in pulling that off. I don't care, I just wanted the heart tank. Alright, I finally get to Overdrive Ostrich. He's not too difficult, but you want to try to stay on higher ground than him, since he often runs towards you and you need to dash jump over him. I do have his weakness weapon, the Crystal Hunter. Similar to Spark Mandrill Syndrome, when I hit him with this, he's always gonna jump into the air and release his slice projectiles. Oh, it's close. Ah, damn it. He's easy, but I guess I got a little arrogant there. I'll get you this time, you overgrown, undercooked chicken. There we are. Now I get his weapon, the Sonic Slicer. Phew, I was stuck in that level for a while, but now it's finally time to go somewhere else. Three. A 3 takes us to Flame Stag. A fun level with catchy upbeat music. You can step on these flying machines. Yay, I finally get an energy tank. Phew. You gotta be quick here to get the heart tank. The special door for the X-Hunters is up here if you need to go. Now I get to Flamestag, another Maverick that isn't too difficult. He likes to jump from one end of the screen to another. You're better off not moving too much. If you have the bubble splash, you reset his pattern and he always throws his flame afterwards. And we're done here. So I only have 2 Mavericks left, number 1 and number 2. Let's see where the die takes us next. Six is Bubble Crab, which I've already beaten, and I can't get any new items in this level, so I'm just gonna roll again. 1. Okay, so a 1 takes us to Wire Sponge. It's funny how most of the Mavericks are usually animal types, but here we have a sponge. You can get a very easy heart tank up here. This is a type of weather control stage. I don't know if shooting these orbs actually does anything. The idea of a stage with changing artificial weather is cool, though the stage doesn't do that much with the concept. The rain pushes you back a bit and that's about it. Yay, another energy tank. Now I get to Wire Sponge. He's pretty easy, especially with his weakness weapon, the Sonic Slicer. When you fight him with your X-Buster only, he has several invincibility frames when he's twirling his hook or charging his thunder attack. The Sonic Slicer interrupts his twirling hook though, which is really convenient. And that's all she wrote. I never really liked the strike chain much. It's kinda pathetic, especially if you compare it to Samus's hookshot from Super Metroid, or even Link's hookshot from A Link to the Past. Alright, now I'm down to my last Maverick, so I don't have to roll for this level. So we're on to Morph Moth next. This stage is a garbage dump, literally. It's interesting how the B mini-boss from the first game seems to be trashed here. If you have the Crystal Hunter, you can freeze this enemy and access a heart tank up here. This stage has probably the worst secret in the game. The armor upgrade is down here, but how would you suspect that when you're just passing through? This isn't even the end of an area or a dead end, so you have to take a wild guess and use the spin wheel. The only way you'd find this out is if you used your eye tracer by accident, but then why would you use it in the middle stretch here? This armor is well worth it though. It slightly lowers the damage you take and converts it into energy to use the Giga Crash, a screen attack ability. This weird robot thing, the actual enemy is this red cricket thing. The green crickets are actually an interesting enemy. Sometimes you take damage if you hit them, but other times they'll stay on your head for a minute and tamper your controls. You might find yourself constantly shooting or dashing or jumping. Not a real threat, but it's interesting to implement this type of enemy. Now at Morph Moth. There are two phases to this battle. Strangely, he's inside his little cocoon for 2/3 of the fight. He only becomes the moth once he's down to 1/3 of his health. His weakness is the speed burner. There we go, not too difficult. Alright, so I've completed the 8 Mavericks. It'll soon be time to go to the final levels. But before I do, I am allowed to roll the die one last time for a final stage revisit. I would love to roll a 7 again. The arms upgrade is in Wheel Gator's level. Remember that wide jump that I couldn't pull off before? Well, now I can air dash as well as use the strike chain, so I would be able to get it. Am I lucky enough to roll a 7? One. Meh, I roll a 1 for Wire Sponge's stage. No help there. No use in returning to this level. So that's it. I'm barred from the regular levels now. I now have to go to the end of the game. Before I go, here's a reminder of the items I was able to acquire during this challenge run. I was able to get 7 of the 8 heart tanks, which is actually pretty good. I got 2 energy tanks out of the total 4 that exist. 2 should be enough for me to be able to complete this game. I got 3 X-Part upgrades out of the 4. I'm missing the arms upgrade, so I can't double charge my X-Buster or charge any special weapons. And I got all of Zero's parts, so I won't have to battle Zero before the final boss. So I'm not doing too bad. I got some decent rolls overall during this challenge run, and I didn't even have to use my cheat. So here we go. This first X-Hunter stage isn't too difficult. You kind of get standard challenges that you've already seen throughout the game. One difference is these enemies that close the walls on you. You have to be careful not to get stuck for too long on one side. Music theme is pretty catchy. Now I get to Violin Part 2. So the X-Hunters return in these stages with new moves and strategies. I find this version of Violin easier than when you face him in the stages. He makes some blocks appear, which is supposed to make the trajectory of his mace weapons more unpredictable, but you can kind of use them as shields and hide behind them. He still has the same weakness. If you use the bubble splash, you have to get closer to him, so it's just as viable just to use your X-Buster. Use whatever you're most comfortable with. And with that, Violin goes down once and for all. X-Hunter Stage 2. This stage is a little more annoying than the first, namely these moving platforms underwater that you have to get past. It slows the pace down, so parts of this level you can't rush. It's a good thing I have my dash boots upgrade here. This part would be more difficult. Trying to avoid the fire. Ah shit. I think I'm just gonna take the hits. I don't want to risk falling again. There's a white gap here. I don't remember what's on the other side. Oh, that's a very wide gap. Oh crap, I'm way back at the beginning? I'll have to get through all this shit again. Maybe I can take advantage of invincibility frames. Ah damn, I wanted to dash jump there. Alright, screw it. There can't be anything that important there. It's not the location of the Shoryuken, the ultimate weapon in the game. God, I died there twice and I was just before the boss door. No middle level checkpoint. Now I get to the second battle with Surges. I hate this battle. It's probably the most annoying boss in the game. I should have just used my Giga Crush here to get rid of the cannons. This is a pretty erratic fight. You move up and down these platforms and it's sometimes difficult to get hits on Surges. I should have used my Giga Crush. I think Surges doesn't advance to the middle of the screen when you do so I would have more room to maneuver. And his shots scatter either vertical and horizontal or diagonally, but it's hard to pay attention to that, the moving platform, and Surges' movements. I have to use an energy tank here. Alright, I got him. X-Hunter Stage 3. Here's an example of how the strike chain sucks. It's supposed to bring that capsule to me, but as you can see here, it just fidgets around. You can also use it to pull yourself to walls, but again, it's not a great hook like you've seen in other games. But I do like this weird stage. The theme is oddly catchy too. This theme actually returns in Mega Man X6. Ah, up there is a major secret. You can get the Shoryuken weapon up that way, but it's very difficult to get. First of all, you need to have every item in the game. Second, you have to charge the speed burner, which gives you an extra boost in your dash. Then you have to maneuver through spikes, which is pretty difficult to pull off. There's no point in me trying to go up there, since I don't have all the items, so the light capsule won't appear. But the Shoryuken is a powerful Street Fighter II type uppercut that can take even bosses down in one hit. You don't need to crystallize these enemies, but I'm doing it just for the hell of it. Now I get to Agile. This is an interesting fight. He drops down spiked ceilings, platforms which make the screen move up as Agile drops them. He can be challenging if you don't know his weakness weapon, but the Magnet Mine makes this battle super easy since 1, it's his weakness, and 2, you can direct it upwards. Agile is probably my favorite of the X-Hunters in both of the fights that he provides. Now I'm at the 4th stage. We've beaten the X-Hunters, but we're still fighting. What mysterious force could be behind all this? Here we get a rematch with the 8 Mavericks. Morph Moth. Wheel Gator is weak against the strike chain, but as I mentioned before, he'll usually retreat in the goo below if you hit him with it. So this battle kinda drags on, whatever strategy you use. Wire Sponge, Overdrive Ostrich. Okay, now I'm well positioned. Playing soccer with Crystal Snail. Bubble Crab. Magna Centipede. Now I have his weakness weapon, the Silk Shot. This weapon can usually get rid of his tail, and he can't drag you towards him to steal your abilities. And finally, Flame Stag. So we learned that the mastermind behind all of this was Sigma. Big shock, I know. Strangely, we returned to Magna Centipede's computer stage. I guess that's where Sigma's data was stored. If you don't get all of Zero's body parts, you actually have to fight him here, which is actually a pretty cool fight, and a great epic theme to go with it. And here is Sigma. He uses claws as weapons this time. This is probably one of the easier Sigma battles. He moves fast, but he's not too difficult. Now we fight the CX4 chip version of Sigma. This looked cool for the time. Sigma's weakness is the strike chain of all things. He doesn't have a health bar, but he changes colors as you attack him. He can summon some enemies, and it can sometimes drop health capsules. Alright, I got him. This animation here always made me chuckle. Like, what is he doing here? Chewing gum? Up until this moment, we had very few connections to the original Mega Man series, but here Sigma drops interesting dialogue. He mentions that Zero was last of a doctor's creation. This is pretty interesting because at the time, we were speculating if this doctor could be Dr. Light or Dr. Wily. I think most players know the backstory now, but at the time, this was the only connection we had, which left us wondering if the next sequels would provide more information. So the place blows up, we escape with 0, and this challenge run is completed. So Mega Man X2 is definitely a great follow-up to the first Mega Man X game. People seem to remember the first game fondly, but for some reason they don't really talk about this second one. I think it's every bit as good, great action, colorful stages and enemies, the soundtrack overall is great. The special weapons are probably not as memorable as in the first game, but Mega Man X2 is still a fun time. Got anything to add, Negativo? You've been kinda quiet during this playthrough.
I was just watching. You did well.
Yeah, I failed the challenge of the first game, but I won the second one, so I'm 1-1 in the Mega Man X series.
I still say you should do the Mega Man X7 challenge.
Mega Man X7, ooh, hopefully the show won't last that long. So I'll be on to another game next episode, but give this challenge a try if you want, and keep gaming everyone.